Hello there, welcome to my channel. If you are new, please consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful. If you do that, thanks. Back to the Beginning by Lionheart555. Naruto and Sasuke are killed, and the Kyuubi takes them to the past to relive their lives, to perhaps change their fate. I don't own anything. Now let's get started.
The three Mizu buncheons of Zabuza slowly closed around Sasuke, who had placed his hands together. Naruto frees them. Right, replied Naruto. Sasuke quickly did a series of fast hand signs, and then leapt into the air. Behind him, Naruto used the paralyzing technique used by all anbu. The three Mizu buncheons froze before they could react, leaving them wide open. The real Zabuza cursed, as his grip on his sword tightened. Now, Sasuke flipped upside down, still airborne, shouting, Kaden. Karyu Enden. Fire style. Fire dragon flame missile. A huge stream of flame shot from Sasuke's mouth, forming the shape of a dragon. The water clones were hit in a direct hit, unable to do anything. All disappeared in a splash of water, while Sasuke gracefully landed nearby. The real Zabuza hiding in the water frowned. He was sure 3 of his clones would have been able to defeat the 3 genin, but it was obviously not enough. Grunting, he leapt out and flung his sword at Sasuke, noticing he had gone after his clone who still held Kakashi in the water prison. Sasuke, watch out, shouted Naruto, who saw Zabuza appear from the water. Sasuke leapt just in time to avoid the toss, but using the sharingan, he realized Zabuza was right behind him. Zabuza had a kunai up to Sasuke's throat, but a last-ditch kick by him saved his life. Instead of having his neck cut wide open, he took a slash to his arm. Zabuza grunted, before disappearing, avoiding Sasuke's bare hand swipe. Naruto winced as he saw his friend land on the ground, blood freely pouring from his arm. Sasuke shouted, Sakura, who was starting to cry. She made to go to him. Naruto grabbed her and held her back. No, Sakura, stay here. Sakura tried to break free, and for a moment Naruto was tempted to go help, but Sasuke interrupted those thoughts. No, Naruto, protect Sakura and Tazuna. I'll be okay, trust me, okay. But, Sasuke. Brad, if you leave the girl and the bridge builder, Zabuza will go and kill them. Better leave it to Sasuke. Arg, damn it, thought Naruto. Sakura, stop, you'll only just get in Sasuke's way, grunted Naruto. Sakura stopped struggling. No, Sasuke, she said, with her head down. Tazuna watched the 3 genin in sadness. This is all my fault, if only I didn't. Don't worry, there is no way we're going to let Zabuza kill you, said Naruto. Actually, there's no way, really, the only problem we have is getting Kakashi-sensei out of that trap. Tazuna stared in surprise at Naruto. This kid, he thought. Meanwhile, Kakashi watched the scene with desperation. Sasuke, what are you doing? Take Naruto, Sakura, and the bridge builder away. He's using a lot of chakra, so his clone can keep me trapped in here. If you guys run, he'll either go after you or stay here to fight me. Most likely the latter. Right now, your mission, shut up, sensei, shouted Sasuke, angrily. Kakashi froze, surprised at his student's attitude. We're not going to leave you, that's right, sensei, agreed, Naruto. We can fight too, we're not going to run away. Kakashi twitched, but he felt touched by their courage. Amusing, but it's not going to save you, interrupted Zabuza. He appeared next to Sasuke, beginning to swing his huge sword. Your sensei is an idiot. Zabuza's swing had just about hit Sasuke when he vanished. He reappeared, behind Zabuza, his eyes glowing red. His hand grabbed a hold of Zabuza's neck. Don't ever call my sensei an idiot again. Zabuza paused, before chuckling. Hey, idiot. Sasuke's eyes shifted to the right, as the Zabuza he was holding turned to water. Die, fool. Zabuza swept with his right foot, knocking Sasuke clean off his feet. Sasuke flew into the water and Zabuza took the opportunity to form some hand signs. As Sasuke's head appeared out of the water, Zabuza shouted, Sweden. Gashokuzame. Water style, 5 eating sharks. A wall of water rose from the water nearby Sasuke, and formed into 5 separate sharks. Kakashi gasped as the sharks dove towards Sasuke. No, Sasuke. Sasuke tried to leap out of the water, but considering he was leaping out of water, it was difficult. The sharks crashed into his body, knocking him back several dozen feet. He fell into the water and didn't resurface. Sakura nearly fainted, but Naruto shook her awake. Sakura, I have an idea, but you need to help me. Sakura looked up, tears in her eyes as she listened. Not a bad idea, Brad. I'm a genius, Kyuubi. Kyuubi snorted. Sure, he replied sarcastically. Oh, looks like you're okay, Sasuke, shouted Naruto, who had seen Sasuke suddenly appear from the woods, unnoticed. He had used a replacement jutsu at the last moment, and was now charging towards Zabuza. He shot a glance at Naruto as he ran. I hope whatever plan you were thinking about works. I guess you want me to distract him? Nah, I'll tell you really quick. Meanwhile, Kakashi and Zabuza watched the spot where they had last seen Sasuke. Please, no, thought Kakashi. He struggled uselessly to get out of his water prison. Pitiful, muttered Zabuza, once he was sure Sasuke wasn't going to resurface. Now for the other, Zabuza stopped speaking because he suddenly found himself in the air from a very painful kick to the chin. As he tried to make sense of what just happened, he detected a presence behind him. What are you doing? Shouted Zabuza. Shishi Renden, lion combo, shouted Sasuke. Sasuke gave Zabuza a powerful kick to his left side, and then a powerful backhand punch. As Zabuza coughed up blood from the first two attacks, Sasuke punched him in the stomach. This sent him back to the ground, and then Sasuke dove after him. Just as Zabuza hit the ground, Sasuke finished his combo by driving his heel deep into Zabuza's chest, breaking a few ribs. To finish his offense, he used Kaden Gokakyu no Jutsu. Sasuke blew out, shooting out a thin line of flame that gradually got bigger. By the time Zabuza was hit, it had turned into a large fireball. While this was all happening, Naruto told Sasuke his plan. It turned out to be a good one, and right away the two put it in use. Meanwhile, Zabuza rose from the smoke from the fire jutsu, panting. He no longer had the calm look in his eyes. He slowly turned to Sasuke, eyeing him carefully. He then vanished, disappearing to the right. Sasuke surveyed the area ready for an attack. As he looked the water, he noticed a genjutsu illusion. Zabuza had camouflaged himself in the water. Deciding offense was the best plan of action. Sasuke drew 10 shuriken and flung them in Zabuza's direction. The elite Junin leapt out and threw 5 kunai in exchange. Easily dodging the technique, Sasuke taunted, "Come on, you hide better than that." Zabuza growled in response. Damn, Sharingan, he must have complete mastery over it. That's it, playtime's over. Kirigakure no Jutsu. As the mist once again covered the battlefield, Sasuke smiled. The plan would go so much more smoothly now. He looked around, using his Sharingan. He found what he was looking for and used Shunshin no Jutsu. Out on the water, Kakashi couldn't help but feel frightened. Even with his Sharingan, he couldn't see what exactly was going on through the mist. He got even more worried when he heard a feminine scream. Sakura, even more desperate to get out, Kakashi decided he would have to try Rasengan to blast his way out. Just as he was about to do the technique, he saw a figure flying towards him. It was Zabuza. Zabuza landed on the water, skidding along, obviously having been on the receiving blow of some sort. Another image flew out of the mist after him. It was Sasuke, who was forming hand signs that looked vaguely familiar. Kakashi suddenly remembered their origins. It was the same jutsu Zabuza had used earlier. He must have copied it with Sharingan, thought Kakashi, with a smug grin. He's able to copy jutsu just as effectively as I can, and he's already appeared to have mastered the Sharingan. Sweden. Gashokuzame no Jutsu. As when Zabuza did the technique, 5 sharks erupted from the water. In Zabuza's apparent surprise, he could no ed. Sasuke frowned as the sharks blew apart, turning back to water. Zabuza appeared in the middle of the water, dripping wet. I see, he began, panting. Just like Kakashi, you are skilled with the Sharingan. You decide just to copy all of my techniques, instead of using your own. But like I told the Junin, your technique is just a cheap imitation of mine. You'll never be at my level. HMPH, done talking. You're pathetic, taunted Sasuke. Well, I must say you are proving to be a much bigger challenge than I thought you would be. Zabuza leapt up and landed nearby a tree, where his sword lay. Picking it up, he pointed it at Sasuke. But I will kill you. Sasuke shrugged as he noticed a figure dash out onto the lake. Whatever, but tell me this, aren't you forgetting about something? You know all this talk about killing me. But, Zabuza threw a kunai right at Sasuke, which he blocked. Too slow, he said, while using Zabuza's skilled technique. Zabuza grunted as he felt a kunai on his throat. You, copycat, muttered Zabuza, as Sasuke pushed the kunai on his neck more. Now, Naruto. Naruto burst from the mist, and used Shunshin no Jutsu to get behind the clone. Kakashi turned in surprise. Naruto? I'm getting you out, sensei, shouted Naruto, who drew a kunai. Watch out, behind you, shouted Kakashi. Warning bells shot off in Naruto's head. He suddenly came up with a brilliant idea. A Zabuza had materialized from the water, while the one Sasuke held turned to water. Sasuke groaned, Kyuubi, this one is a bunshin too. I know, brat, I'm trying to find the right one, but you know, it's hard considering I gave up almost all my spare energy. Naruto has it now, make him do the work. I think the real one is the one holding the cage, came Naruto's reply. The Zabuza on the lake appeared behind Naruto, who turned just in time to see his huge sword swing at him. Naruto turned into a log and fell into the water. Replacement jutsu? Zabuza swiped his sword, as Sasuke lunged at him. Sasuke blocked with a kunai, and then swiped at Zabuza with his bare hand, while at the same time throwing a roundhouse kick. Zabuza blocked both and leapt back away from the water prison, containing Kakashi. He placed his hands together, and Sasuke, seeing an opportunity, did the same. Unfortunately, Zabuza didn't do any other hand signs and instead turned to water. Sasuke was startled, unable to turn to water. He was suddenly hit from behind and cut through the stomach by Zabuza's sword. Sasuke disappeared in a poof of smoke, while Zabuza's face sank. The cage bunchin. Damn it. Zabuza turned back around towards his clone on the lake. Kakashi remained trapped inside the prison looking as grim as ever. Zabuza turned back around, noticing his target. The bridge builder was open with the girl. He knew it was obviously a trap, but decided he might as well find out what kind of trap it was. He expertly vanished into the water, creating a Mizu Bunshin. He sent it out and made it attack the bridge builder. As he had expected, his Mizu Bunshin triggered an explosive tag, causing a mini explosion. The strange thing was, when the smoke cleared, Tazuna wasn't there. In his place were 4 logs. Zabuza frowned, beginning to feel frustrated. Those little brats have a lot of chakra. Damn it, Haku was right. There's no way I'm going to be able to beat them, unless I use strategy. Zabuza surveyed the area, thinking of a plan. He knew he was getting fatigued quickly and would need to end the fight soon. As his eyes rested on Kakashi, a plan began to hatch in his mind. Hey, this will be entertaining, he muttered. He muttered some words very quickly and it seemed to do nothing but ripple the water a bit. He heard something whirling through the air and turned, seeing a big shuriken flying his way. He recognized what was going on immediately. He remembered Haku warned him of their idea to free Kakashi from the water prison. He grinned, getting cockier. Ha, this shuriken can't touch me. He easily caught in, twirling it in his hands. As expected, a second one, which was hidden in the shadow of the first, appeared. Expecting it to be Naruto, Zabuza charged at it, slashing with his sword. The shuriken disappearing with a poof. Zabuza frowned, realizing he had been tricked. What? Zabuza leapt up just as Sasuke shouted, Sweden. Goshoku's no jutsu. Zabuza landed on land away from the water, breathing hard. The sharks had nearly gotten him and if they did he would have definitely been a goner. He was still feeling the first 2 attacks. Laughter came from underneath him. Zabuza looked down as Naruto yelled, Doden. Zinkshu Zanshu no jutsu. Zabuza felt himself get pulled underground and then found himself stuck with only his head above ground. Sasuke and Naruto stood in front of him, laughing, Gotcha, Zabuza, they yelled. Meanwhile, a figure dashed out of the bushes. It was Sakura. Zabuza growled in annoyance, as he watched his Mizu Bunshin get destroyed. His mind began racing to figure out how they had managed to trap him. Naruto noticed him and said, Don't bother trying to figure out our plan, it's too complicated, Zabuza growled in response. Splash, Naruto grinned as the water barrier crashed down and Kakashi stepped out. The silver-haired Junin walked over to his students, who all smiled back. I'm very proud of all of you. You were able to work together to defeat an elite Junin. Good job. I was especially pleased with you, Sakura, you made the final attack that freed me, while Naruto and Sasuke expertly fought with Zabuza. Sakura grinned, Sensei, it was all Naruto's idea, he came up with a plan so that he and Sasuke did. Naruto suddenly clamped a hand over Sakura's mouth and leapt back, away from Kakashi. Sasuke lifted Tazuna up, realizing Naruto had detected something wrong. Kakashi simply walked closer to them, while Sasuke and Naruto blocked the front. What are you doing? Sasuke, it's not Kakashi. Are you sure? Yes, I can detect Zabuza's presence even from in your heads, brat, added Kyuubi. You're not Kakashi, said Naruto, simply. Naruto, yelled Sakura. Look, I know Zabuza has tricked you guys over and over again, but this is Kakashi-sensei. Naruto gave her a cold glare that shut her up. It's not Kakashi, we know it's you Zabuza. Kakashi shook his head, Naruto, Zabuza is right there, he said pointing at Zabuza, who watched them coldly. Naruto looked at the Zabuza on the ground and used his fox eye. As expected, he saw that the Zabuza was part of a mere simple genjutsu. It had been expertly set up, which meant the real Zabuza was somewhere in hiding, with the real Kakashi. I don't see anything there, except for a simple genjutsu illusion. Dispel, said Naruto loudly. As Kakashi frowned, a white mist passed from the other's eyes and they now saw for themselves that there had been no Zabuza in the ground all along. Ah, yelled Sakura, as she jumped back. Tazuna ran over behind a tree, while Sasuke and Naruto faced off against Kakashi, who said, Very astute of you, somehow you saw through the illusion with those eyes of yours. But, I have what I came here to get. Kakashi turned into water and disappeared, while Sasuke and Naruto simultaneously turned around. Right behind them, Zabuza was just about making an upward cut on Tazuna. Naruto knew his attack would not be in time to stop it, but he spotted one of his kunai lying nearby. With a last desperate attempt he used, Hiraishin no Jutsu, Flying Thunder God, the technique in which he was famous for being, the orange blur of Konoha, back in the future. It was technique he learned from Jiraiya, one of the techniques unique to 4th, Jiraiya, and himself. It involved putting a special formula into a kunai or an object or using a special jutsu. Then, the user could teleport to that object at immense speeds, greater than Shunshin no Jutsu. Naruto used this technique and stabbed Zabuza through the chest, while taking the blow that had been meant for Tazuna. Both ninjas stumbled backwards, but Zabuza was replaced by water. Naruto, on the other hand, coughed up blood, and fell towards the ground. His wounds included a huge slash on his right side that went from right hip, across his stomach to the left shoulder. His breath was slow and heavy, and everyone knew it was a wonder he wasn't dead. Tazuna stood back in fright, half terrified, and half incredulous that Naruto has just saved his life. Sakura's eyes widened, as she saw Naruto lying on the ground. And Naruto, before she walked into a kunai. Sasuke pulled her back. His eyes burned with hatred as he stared at Zabuza, who clutched his chest wound. He panted with breath and made to swing his sword once more, but 3 things happened. First, Kakashi had appeared and grabbed his arm. Second, Sasuke had used Shunshin and gave Zabuza a hard uppercut to the chin. And lastly, astounding even Naruto, Sakura had leapt into action, giving Zabuza a hard slap across the face. For a moment, there was an awkward silence, as everyone stared at her. How could you? Her breath was heavy and when she looked up, everyone could see she was furious. How dare you do that to Naruto? Zabuza smiled. Hey, foolish little girl. He kicked upwards, knocking the 3 Konoha shinobi back. Sasuke, protect Tazuna, said Kakashi, whose voice had changed dramatically. Sasuke leapt back and began tending to Naruto's injuries. He had no idea how to use medical jutsu and Sakura didn't either, so he could do nothing but try to stop the bleeding. Meanwhile, Kakashi and Zabuza faced off. So, Kakashi, you managed to get out Looks like I played around so much that I forgot about keeping you imprisoned. No, said Kakashi, you were forced to drop your attention from me when Naruto and Sasuke fought you. Together those 2 are more powerful than you will ever be. Zabuza snarled. So, Kakashi, what are you going to do? Why don't you tell me what's going on in that head of yours? Kakashi remained silent, so Zabuza leapt into the water. To his surprise his exact movements were imitated. Snarling again, he placed his hands together and began to rapidly form hand signs over and over again. Furthermore, to his frustration, Kakashi began to perfectly copy those movements as well, chanting and placing signs at the exact moment Zabuza did. From the side, Sasuke stood up. Naruto's wounds were beginning to recover, due to the fact Kyuubi was using up his life chakra supply. Brat, I swear if this ever happens again, he started, leaving the threat unfinished. Naruto forced a laugh, that prompted Sakura and Sasuke to steady him. Thanks, Sasuke. Kyuubi. Hey, I didn't think Zabuza would get that strong even if Haku told him about us. Guess it shows just how strong he was at the beginning. Hey, Dobi. Loser. Only you could get hit by Zabuza. While Kyuubi laughed, Naruto jumped up ready to throw a punch, but his chest seared with pain and he fell down again. Naruto, what do you think you're doing? Shouted Sakura, while Sasuke snickered. Naruto grunted and turned to watch Kakashi. He smiled, seeing his sensei expertly copy Zabuza's hand signs. Yo, Sasuke, said Kyuubi, you copying those signs too? No, my chakra energy is running low, so I can't use sharingan. Besides, I already know how to do that technique. Kyuubi laughed, while Naruto groaned in jealously. Sasuke always was one step ahead. Meanwhile, the 2 Junin both shouted simultaneously, Suiden. Suiryuden no Jutsu. Water style. Water dragon bullet. From the water, 2 dragons erupted and twirled around each other, before rapidly colliding into each other. The dragon's crash sent a spray of water down on the 2 Junin as they simultaneously attacked each other. They both then jumped back at the same time. Zabuza was about to make a move, when he noticed Kakashi's body position. His arm position. His legs. They were all identical to the position he was in. What? Something's not right. Zabuza gently stepped to the right. Kakashi did the same. Zabuza gasped slightly. How is he doing that? The Suiryuden is my technique, yet he copied it to every detail, finishing at the exact moment as me. Haku never told me about these qualities of the Sharingan. Zabuza took off running to the left at the exact moment Kakashi did, though he ran to his right, Zabuza's left. Zabuza stopped suddenly and began making rapid hand signs. To his frustration, Kakashi once again copied them. Zabuza made to do his hand signs faster, but he noticed angrily that Kakashi easily adjusted to the speed. As he got to the land hand sign he stopped. He saw an image of himself staring right back at him, next to Kakashi. What the? It's me. How can this be? Kakashi suddenly did the last hand sign, without Zabuza, shouting, Suiden. Daibakufu no Jutsu. Zabuza's eyes widened. What? He couldn't make a fast reaction, as the wave hit him, twisting his body around and around. He was slammed into a tree and slowly the water died down. Zabuza panted and as he tried to stand up, using the tree for support, 5 kunai hit him near the chest area. Kakashi stood next to Zabuza, who slowly looked up. For the first time he had fear in his eyes. Can you see the future? Kakashi didn't answer at first, and instead put a kunai on Zabuza's neck. Your future is death. Zabuza gasped, as Kakashi lifted his kunai. Before he could strike, he detected a set of senbon, needles, heading in his direction. Using shunshin, he teleported to a branch, where he saw Zabuza get hit in the neck. Frowning slightly, he ignored the attacker and checked Zabuza's pulse. There was none. Meanwhile, Tazuna, Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto, whom was being carried by Sasuke, came over. "Sensei," shouted Sakura. Kakashi nodded to them, as if to notice their presence, and then turned to a ninja who stood on a branch close by. Sasuke and Naruto recognized the masked ninja immediately. Haku, they both thought. The ninja glanced at Sasuke and Naruto, before jumping down. "Thank you, copycat ninja." Kakashi surveyed the new person. "From your clothes, I can assume you are a hunter ninja from Hidden Mist?" Haku nodded. "Yes. I am a hunter ninja from the hidden village of Mists. For long, we have been tracking and attempting to kill Zabuza, and, although I had hoped to do it myself, I am glad it is done. Thank you." Haku approached the body of Zabuza, and passed Sasuke and Naruto along the way. "You," he whispered, so none of the others could hear. "Sasuke, he talked to us. So, Kyuubi was right, he remembers us." Sasuke frowned slightly. "Yeah, and he doesn't look too happy to see us either. He must have been watching the fight the whole time." "Yes, brats, so, that means you'll have to train extra hard. Try and remaster your special techniques, and also exchange jutsus you may have missed. You can never know too many jutsus." Sasuke and Naruto nodded, but their main attention was focused on Haku, who picked up Zabuza's body. He bowed before making a hand sign. "Goodbye," he said, before disappearing. Kakashi sighed. "Well, alright, let's go too." Kakashi froze and fell. Sasuke caught him and then hoisted him onto his other shoulder. "It's his sharingan, it takes a lot of chakra," explained Naruto, before Sakura opened her mouth. Sakura nodded, while Tazuna grumbled on about them being in a bad position, because one half was unable to fight, and one half of the remaining didn't do anything. This particular earned him a glare from Sakura, while the others laughed. They then began walking towards Tazuna's house. Forest of Chakra, a time of learning. A hazy image of a room appeared, slowly coming into focus. Attempting to move, Kakashi suddenly groaned. He could feel weak and he knew his chakra was low. I think I overdid it with my sharingan." Kakashi suddenly heard footsteps coming. Shifting his eyes downward, he saw a young woman approaching him. She looked to be in her 20s. "Waking up, huh? Are you alright?" Her tone was one of irritation, but Kakashi could see the faint concern in her eyes. She was obviously worried, concluded Kakashi. "I've been better," admitted Kakashi, with a small chuckle. "It'll be a week." He began struggling to sit up, "before I can move, normally." He said the last part with a small amount of discomfort. The lady in front of him sighed. "See, it's better if you don't move, so just lie down." Kakashi nodded and fell onto his back. "Yeah, you're right." Sudden footsteps could be heard and Sakura peeked her head around the door. "Sensei, are you alright? We've all been worried." Kakashi eyed her. "Listen, Sensei. I know the sharingan is amazing and everything, but if it puts so much strain on you, well, maybe you shouldn't use it." "Sorry," was Kakashi's brief reply. Sakura's feet shuffled around a bit, and her hands were behind her back. She obviously wanted to say something. "What is it, Sakura?" asked Kakashi. "Is it Naruto or Sasuke? Where are they anyway?" Sakura gulped. "Well, Sasuke managed to get both of you back all right, but he soon collapsed afterwards and he hasn't woken up since. And Naruto, well, he still has that huge gash on his stomach, although it looks like he's going to make a full recovery. They're both in the other room right now." Tazuna grinned. "Well, we shouldn't have to worry too much. I doubted that boy, but he's all right. I mean, you guys managed to defeat one of the most dangerous and elite ninja, so he should be safe for a while." Pondered Kakashi, aloud. "Well, I'm not too worried about them. Both of them have exceeded all expectations I had for them. I'm sure they will be fine. But that boy from the elite tracking ninja of the hidden village of Mists. I could tell he was one. Why the mask he wore? Only the most elite shinobi are permitted to wear those." Sakura looked up. "You mean that boy, who killed Zabuza? He's an elite ninja?" "Yes, he is." "Well, what do they do? I mean, I know I've seen guys like that around our village, but usually they're guarding the Hokage or something." Kakashi nodded. "True, among their tasks, they must protect the current Hokage and other missions of the sort that involve being bodyguards. But, the Anbu Black Ops as they're called, also known as the Inferno Squad, have another more dangerous task. Even more dangerous than normal assassinations missions." Sakura, Tazuna, and his daughter all shuddered slightly as they listened. "Their job is to hunt down rogue ninja, who betrayed the village, and wipe out all traces of them." A ninja's body contains many secrets, chakra, ninjutsu, and medicines that were used on the body, in other words secrets of his village. That's why, it is the job of the anbu to destroy all traces of the body, so their secrets remain safe. I say it's more dangerous than a normal assassination because most times, the rogue ninja are incredibly powerful and skilled ones. Like Zabuza. Sakura gulped. Well, sensei about that. You said the same thing Naruto told me and so we have come to believe that. Kakashi tensed, beginning to realize what his students must have thought of. Meanwhile Haku leaned over Zabuza's body and made to take off the bandages with some scissors. He was interrupted as Zabuza's eyes shot open and he grabbed Haku's hand. Ripping off the bandage, he shouted, "That's enough. I'll do it," he said. Haku leaned back, giving him some room. "So, you've already come back to life." Zabuza grunted and coughed as he sat up slowly. He felt weak all over and his neck was numb. His eyes were bloodshot and he could feel something in his neck. Zabuza felt the pointed tip of the senbon needle. "Arg," he groaned in agony as he pulled one out. "Damn it, Haku, you're brutal." Haku smirked. "You're the one that's brutal, Zabuza. Keep pulling it out like that, and you'll really be finished." Zabuza stared at Haku with one of annoyance, before pulling out the other needle. Finally feeling his neck again, somewhat, he turned to Haku. At first glance the only thing he saw was the mask. "HMPH, how long are you planning to wear that fake mask? Take it off already," he commanded. Haku shrugged and removed the mask, while saying, "I have good memories of this mask, and plus, I needed it to get you away from Kakashi. You know I have intervened, you would be dead now, just as I said it would happen." Zabuza scoffed, though he knew the boy was right. "Fine, putting me in a temporary death state, fine, but not through the pressure points in my neck." Zabuza covered his mouth with the bandage again, while glaring at Haku. "Brutal as usual, I think you enjoy it." Haku smiled again. "It was the only sure way, and I wouldn't want to mark up your flawless body." "You'd complain about that even more," he said, with a blush. Zabuza grunted as he tried to stand. "There's no point, Zabuza, your body will be numb for at least a week." But then again, she added with an afterthought, "If you are stubborn as always, it'll probably be half." "You're so innocent, and clever at the same time, a rare combination. That's why I keep you around." Haku shrugged. "I'm just a kid, what else do you expect?" To Haku's surprise, Zabuza did expect something. "Why didn't you just kill them, all of them right there?" muttered Zabuza. Haku paused, a blank stare in his eyes. "Weren't you the one who said you were going to take care of them all by yourself?" said Haku evasively. "You're not answering the question." "I've already given you my answer, Zabuza. I want to fight those two on my own." "Fine, whatever, just make sure you are just as brutal to them as you were to me." Haku smiled. Zabuza stared at it, shaking his head. He then looked down and thought about the battle. "I didn't think those two would be so strong." Zabuza grasped his stomach. "Damned, brat, he almost stabbed me in my lung." Haku grinned this time. "I told you, Zabuza." Zabuza grunted in disagreement. "You never told me their tactics and abilities were those of Junin level. I was under the impression I was fighting one Junin, two kids, and a worthless girl. I'm pretty sure, and I definitely know you saw it too, that I was fighting 3 Junin level shinobi." Haku smiled. "Well, there was always the worthless girl you could have used to your advantage. Oh yeah, try and kill the girl, while at the same time, fighting desperately to keep Kakashi caged, and those 2 little runts off my back. Real easy, let's see you try." Haku chuckled, but then became serious. "Will you be alright next time?" Zabuza sneered. "Next time, I'll see right through their sharingan, and to even the fight a little, I'll bring some additional help." "Just as long as you leave those 2 boys to me," said Haku. Zabuza shrugged. "Whatever." Tazuna's house. Naruto interrupted their conversation, stumbling into the room. "Naruto, what are you doing out of bed?" exclaimed Sakura. However, she suddenly saw Sasuke, and she ran past Naruto. "Oh, Sasuke, you're okay." Naruto twitched, while Kakashi and everyone else in the room sweat dropped. "Hi, Sakura," said Sasuke, emotionlessly. "So, Sakura, what were you saying?" Naruto said, interrupted Kakashi, trying to help Sasuke, who was beginning to look uncomfortable. Sakura turned in mid-hug. Oh, that, well," she stammered and blundered over her words. "It's really stupid, sensei," said Sakura, finally. "Just tell me, Sakura." "Oh, I'll tell him," interrupted Naruto, to Sakura's relief. "Well, Kakashi-sensei, that guy that took Zabuza away was an anbu tracker ninja, right?" Kakashi's eyes narrowed somewhat, but he nodded. "Yes, what of it?" "Well, since anbu don't want dead ninja to carry the secrets of a village, don't obliterate the ninja on the spot. You know, so there's no room for mistakes or accidents." Kakashi nodded. "I see what you mean now." Sakura also realized what Naruto was implying. She gulped in terror. "So, does it mean that Zabuza is really, that he's, alive?" "Yes," said Sasuke, adding his 2 cents. Sakura and Tazuna both gulped. "But isn't this just a theory? We don't actually have any real proof." Maybe that ninja didn't want to slaughter him in front of the kid's eyes, interrupted Tazuna. No, said Kakashi, think about it. Like Naruto and I said, and we eliminate rogue ninja on the spot. Sakura, do you remember what that ninja did when he took Zabuza? Sakura frowned. Well, I don't really know. He just disappeared with Zabuza's body, I guess taking it somewhere. Exactly, but why? He should have worked on Zabuza right then and there. As quickly as possible. Why didn't he? Sakura couldn't come up with a logical explanation. Think of the weapons he used now. Do you remember what they were? Sakura tried to recall what weapons were used, but couldn't. Senbon needles, answered Naruto, not really an assassin's weapons. Right, it doesn't add up, said Kakashi. Senbon are very precise weapons. They can puncture deeply, but are rarely fatal unless they hit a vital spot, not in the neck. They're modified from medical needles like those used in acupuncture. Tracker ninja, like the one we saw, are trained to know every detail of the body. Stopping the heart, while keeping the body alive, is an easy matter for them. Kakashi paused and sat up. Now, let's think this through. First, the tracker ninja carried Zabuza's body away, even though it's much heavier than he is. Second, he used senbon needles, which have a precise affect, but are rarely fatal. From these two factors we can conclude that the tracker ninja wasn't trying to destroy Zabuza, he was trying to save him. Tazuna grunted. Come on, you're overthinking this, aren't you? Kakashi shook his head. Encountering suspicion, the ninja prepares quickly. Hesitation leads to disaster. Every shinobi knows this saying. Tazuna snorted. You saw the guy dead though, I mean you even said it yourself. Wrong, said Kakashi, surprising everyone. I said his heart stopped, if you recalled. I never said he was dead. But, his heart stopped, isn't that like dying? True, it is, but what if the heart were to start beating again? Then he would come back to life. Tazuna scratched his head, confused. I don't get it, how can a heart stop beating then start up again? Pressure points, answered Sasuke. Right, said Kakashi, so, it means we will have to accept it. Zabuza is alive, and next time he will undoubtedly bring more ninja to fight us, to finish us once and for all. Nobody in the room spoke. Kakashi could see most of them were thinking, perhaps thinking about going home. It's before Kakashi could finish, Naruto shouted, "Who cares, sensei? We'll defeat anything that comes our way. Because we're a team," he said, softly. Everyone gaped at Naruto. Naruto, thought Kakashi, in deep surprise. When did Naruto get so smart, thought Sakura. What a kid, thought Tazuna and his daughter. Baka, said Sasuke. Quiet down, brat. I teach you. I give you energy, I even gave you life, and you can't shut up for one moment. Naruto nearly laughed when he saw everyone looking at him. Sorry, he murmured. Kakashi laughed, well said, Naruto. Sasuke grinned, and Sakura smiled slightly. Kakashi nodded to himself, impressed by the way Naruto had dispelled everyone's fear. This kid is really something. Wait, sensei, interrupted Sakura, you said in that saying we have to prepare quickly. But how can we do that, if you can barely walk and Naruto has a huge wound? Oh, it's not that bad, interrupted Naruto. He jumped up, but winced slightly, feeling the pain in his chest. Tsunami sighed. Why don't you go and rest a little bit? Naruto began to complain and whine, but Kakashi silenced him, and he sat down. I agree, said Kakashi. Sasuke, Naruto, when we're done talking here, I want you to go back to your rooms to rest. Sasuke twitched, while Naruto jumped up, ignoring the pain this time. What? Kakashi sighed. There were just some things you couldn't stomp out of Naruto. Anyway, said Kakashi, ignoring Naruto, who stood there, fuming. In the meantime I will train Sakura. What? But sensei, what good is last-minute training going to be? I mean you were barely able to defeat Zabuza, and that was with your sharingan. We have to be reasonable about this. What? Are you trying to get us killed? Cha. Kakashi sighed. Sakura. Why was I able to defeat Zabuza? Because you all helped me. You groaned, and Naruto. Naruto looked up from his argument with Kyuubi about training. Huh? You groaned the most, he said, with a wink. Naruto paused in the middle of thinking of a retort. Did Kakashi-sensei just compliment me? You loser, interrupted Sasuke. Sakura stared at Naruto. Well, it's true, Naruto has gotten stronger and more mature, she thought. She nothing like that old prankster, he's actually starting to turn out like a real shinobi. I wonder what happened with the old Naruto. Naruto beamed, of course, I knew you would notice, boasted Naruto, I'm just that great. Sasuke and Kyuubi both gagged, while Sakura twitched, taking whatever she had thought about Naruto. Kakashi laughed, but was interrupted by a mean voice. I don't believe you. Everyone turned to see a young boy, roughly Naruto's age and size. He had a sad look to face, one full of sorrow. He had a white hat on and white shirt. Who are you? Asked Sakura. Ah, Inari, where have you been? Asked Tazuna, answering Sakura's question. Welcome back, Grandpa, shouted the boy, Inari, and ran towards him. They embraced, while Tsunami scolded the boy. Inari, that was very rude. These ninja helped your grandpa and brought him here safely. Tazuna laughed. It's okay, I'm rude to them too. Mom, shouted Inari, don't you see, these people are going to die. Gato and his men are going to come and find them and wipe them out, he whined. Naruto and Sasuke looked at each other, eyebrows raised. What a brat, said Naruto. HMPH, why don't you correct him, then loser. Why me? Shouted Naruto. Better you than me, said Sasuke with a shrug. Naruto sighed. Look, kid, began Naruto. This Gato guy will never be able to defeat me, because I'm going to become Hokage one day. Inari scoffed. Peeved. You're just an idiot with stupid ideas. If you want to survive, why don't you go back to where you came from? Naruto lost his head and started to approach. What's that, brat? Sakura grabbed him. No, Naruto. Sasuke shook his head. Baka. Inari sneered at them, before walking away. Tazuna raised a hand. Wait, Inari. Where are you going? Inari shrugged as he opened the door, to look at the ocean. I want to be alone. He shut the door rather forcefully, while Tazuna apologized. It's quite okay, said Kakashi. Anyway, Naruto, Sasuke, you two can go get some rest now. Naruto and Sasuke nodded, and disappeared behind the doorway. Sakura, called Kakashi, why don't you get some rest too? We have a long day tomorrow. Sakura nodded, sure, sensei. She too, disappeared behind the door, while Kakashi lay down to rest. Much later, Naruto awoke, staring at the sun outside the window. Still day, huh? Hey, Sasuke. Naruto got no answer, so he figured the Uchiha was still asleep. Meanwhile, he went off to the bathroom. On the way, he passed Inari's room. He figured the boy was crying in there. Sure enough, Naruto heard sobs as he passed the doorway. No, daddy, no, bawled the kid, over his gasps for breath. Naruto thoughts flashed back to years ago, when he had been just like that, always wanting a parent. The two of them weren't so different. Hey, brat, came Kyuubi's voice. You should really talk to him, you know. Naruto smiled. Not yet, Kyuubi, not yet. The next day Kakashi walked towards the middle of a clearing on his crutches. Sakura followed him. Kiryu would be doing. Alright, Sakura, if you didn't know, training begins now. Sakura sweat dropped. I figured that much, she thought. First, we will begin with. Kakashi suddenly turned and looked upwards. Fearing something was there, Sakura turned and saw Naruto and Sasuke. Her eyes narrowed. You guys, I thought I told you to stay in bed, said Kakashi, with a frown. Ah, sensei, we're okay. We want to train too. Kakashi sighed. Fine, whatever, come down then. Wait right there on that log. The two genin leapt down, from the branch they had been on, eager to train. I told you getting caught was a good idea, Bragg shrugged. Never said it wasn't, argued Sasuke. Naruto tried to think of a reply, but couldn't, so he sat down on a log and watched Kakashi instruct Sakura. Sasuke landed beside him and sat down. Now, Sakura, to continue what I was saying, let's go over a simple basic exercise that will teach you control over your chakra. Sakura nodded. So, what do I do? Hee hee, chuckled Kakashi, walking over to a tree. All you have to do is climb a tree. Sakura sweat dropped. Climb a tree? Is that is? Kakashi stared at her surprised. Are you good at it? Sakura laughed. Here, I'll show you, sensei. Kakashi sat back and watched. Sakura rolled up her sleeves and wrapped her arms around the tree. Stop! Sakura released her hands in a hurry, startled. I forgot to tell you the one rule. No hands. Sakura's mouth dropped open, and her cheeks flushed, since she felt embarrassed she had gotten corrected in front of Sasuke. You've got to be kidding me, she said. Kakashi chuckled. Am I? He placed his hands together. A small amount of dirt and chakra began to move near his feet in an arc. Kakashi then began walking towards a large oak tree, and much to Sakura's surprise placed his feet on it. He then put his other foot on and miraculously didn't fall off. He continued slowly walking up the trunk until he found a branch. He began walking along this thick branch to the point where he was upside down. Straight up, said Sakura. Unbelievable, using only his feet. You get the point, said Kakashi. Anyway, you try? Focus your chakra toward the soles of your feet and have it connect with the tree. This is one way to apply the power of chakra. What about Naruto and Sasuke? Oh, those two, will do something else, seeing as they probably won't be as good as you at this. Wow. Sakura's confidence went up. Naruto and Sasuke both twitched and their face darkened. Kakashi-sensei, they both thought, venomously. Wait, sensei, called Sakura, suddenly, just as she reached the trunk of the tree. This is a nice trick and all, but how does it help me fight Zabuza? It's the only way to fight him, Sakura, said Kakashi. That's the goal of this training. First, you'll learn to draw a precise amount of chakra to a precise point in your body. This is a difficult training, even for advanced ninja. And to make it more difficult, the bottoms of your feet are the most difficult place to focus chakra. The second point is to maintain chakra levels. When a ninja is focused in battle, it is very difficult to maintain chakra levels, which can lead to very deadly results. Therefore, maintaining chakra must become second nature to you, effortless. Do you get the picture now, Sakura? If you can master this, you'll be able to master any jutsu, well theoretically. Anyway, continued Kakashi, I can talk all about this all day, but that won't further your skills. You need to apply this in training, so, said Kakashi, throwing the kunai to Sakura. Use this to mark your progress as you make your way up the tree. You'll need to run at the tree so your momentum takes you as high as possible, that is until you get used to it. Sakura nodded and picked up the kunai. She placed her hands together and then ran towards the tree. She's going to make it, said Naruto. Sasuke nodded. They weren't disappointed as Sakura sped up the tree, flawlessly, and finished by sitting on the branch. Hey, this is fun, she called. Kakashi appeared surprised. Well, it appears the female on our team excels at chakra control and maintaining it. Good work, Sakura. Hey, Sasuke, who don't you try it, shouted Sakura. Kakashi was about to object, but he decided against it. He wanted to check something first. Sasuke raised an eyebrow, though, after a nudge by Naruto decided to. He was bored anyway. Without making a hand sign, Sasuke focused the chakra to his feet, and began to walk up the tree. This is so pointless. We did this for 10 hours that first day. Oi, nothing is pointless, brat, shouted Kyuubi, that's it, no new jutsu today. As Sasuke climbed the tree, he began coming up with ways to kill Kyuubi, though sadly none of them turned out right. Okay, Naruto, you next, stated Kakashi, once Sasuke had made it up. Naruto, as Sasuke had done before him, focused his chakra easily and began to climb the tree. He made it up easily and then, all three genin turned to Kakashi. Kakashi, what next? We mastered this exercise, stated Sakura. Kakashi's sweat dropped. He had just realized that he hadn't expected Sakura to master the exercise so quickly. He quickly made an excuse. True, but Sakura, I want you to have some more practice at it, before we continue. Stand upside down on this branch until we return. We shouldn't be too long. Sakura nodded, and Kakashi beckoned for Naruto and Sasuke to follow him. They walked deeper into the forest, leaving Sakura to her training. Kakashi found a small shady area, under a large tree. He landed beside, and the two genin followed suit. Kakashi got right down to business. Now, Naruto, Sasuke. I want you two to tell me a little bit more about yourselves. Sasuke and Naruto exchanged glances. Oh, taunted Kyuubi. What do you mean, Kakashi-sensei? Didn't we do this the first day we met? Asked Naruto. Kakashi, yes, but at that time I wasn't expecting my genin to be able to single-handedly be able to fight on equal standings with an elite Junin. So let me ask you again, said Kakashi, this time a little more commandingly. Tell me about yourselves, your abilities, and what you've been trying to hide. Sasuke sighed. Naruto frowned, but figured there was no way out of this one. Well, sensei, can you keep a promise first? Kakashi frowned. We'll see, depends on what you want me to promise. Naruto gulped. Right, now the information we give. We need you to keep it quiet from everyone, especially the Hokage, said Naruto. Kakashi became suspicious. That's a big secret to keep. I can promise I won't reveal this to anyone except the Hokage and Sakura. Sakura, because she is your teammate and deserves to know, and the Hokage because he needs to know. Now, what do you have to say? Sasuke and Naruto sighed. They would have to trust his promise. Sasuke spoke first, telling of how they came from the future, by Kyuubi's means, and how the three were connected. At this point, Kakashi interrupted. What? You're connected to Kyuubi? Yeah, we can talk to each other, and that's pretty much it. Kakashi sat back. I see, continue. Naruto continued from where Sasuke left off, explaining how they learned their jutsus from many different ninjas, most notably Jiraiya and Orochimaru, two of the legendary Sanins. Kakashi frowned, though he did not interrupt this time. I see, so basically to sum this all up, Kyuubi saved you two after you died in the future. You were Anbu members, and you died after an elite ninja defeated you. During your time there you had collected numerous amounts of techniques from various ninjas around the world. So, now your objective is to relive your land, try not to die this time. However, this time, Kyuubi is mentally connected to both of you, so you can communicate together. Is that all? Naruto and Sasuke nodded, expecting Kakashi to yell at them. Well, then, thank you for telling me, finally, said Kakashi, with a wink. It certainly explains a lot of things you have shown me, especially how you two seem to be so close. Now there is one more thing I have to ask. Request. Sasuke and Naruto gulped. Yeah, sensei, asked Naruto. My request is, that anything you may know about the future, you keep to yourselves. I'm forbidding you to speak of any of it, unless it is something that you really wish me to know about that affects me or Konoha. Naruto and Sasuke shifted again. Kakashi frowned. There's something, isn't there? Well, sensei, there is something, but we won't tell you yet, cause we're going to try and stop it. Kakashi smiled. Alright, then, I'm placing a huge trust on you guys, don't let me down. Naruto and Sasuke nodded. You're free to go, said Kakashi. Rejoin Sakura, and tell her I said you can return to the house. Naruto instantly left, but Sasuke stayed behind. Kakashi, there's one other thing. Kakashi looked up. About Orochimaru, he's planning to have me captured and is trying to use me as a host for a new body. He wants my sharingan. Kakashi frowned. Orochimaru? Yes, he is the one who trained me in the art of snakes. I can summon snakes at will, and I can use powerful jutsu that might be considered forbidden. Kakashi chuckled, though he didn't find the situation funny at all. Sasuke, please don't tell me anymore. I don't want to jeopardize the future by all of this. And another things. Well, let's not worry about that. Hurry up and return to your teammates. Sasuke nodded and vanished. Kakashi immediately frowned. Orochimaru, so, you and Jiraiya are the reasons they are so strong. So, does that mean that they will? Kakashi pushed the thoughts aside. He trusted his students with his life. He would never doubt then, and that was a promise to himself. Haku, prelude to the battle for the bridge. Summary. While Sakura desperately trains to improve her shinobi skills, Kakashi and our two genin are deep in conversation about their skills and abilities. Kakashi watched amusedly as a tree fell down. A wearied Sakura stood at its edge, panting for air. She had gathered as much chakra as she could into her fist, as Kakashi had instructed. She then let loose a punch of enormous power. Unfortunately, she was left with little chakra and stamina. It had taken a while, but Kakashi knew with her growing control of chakra, she would soon be a force to be reckoned with. Alright, Sakura, I think that's enough for today. Keep going like that and you'll eat too wearied out. Sakura nodded. Alright, Kakashi-sensei. Cha, I did it, shouted inner Sakura, letting loose a 1-2. Alright, then eat something quickly, and then we'll go see how Naruto and Sasuke are doing. Sakura nodded and quickly opened her lunchbox, while Kakashi pulled out uchiha tactics. He giggled to himself, as Sakura gulped her food down. Startling Kakashi, she quickly hopped up. Okay, sensei, let's go. Kakashi eyed her, amused by her change of attitude. Something must have happened to her. I've never seen Sakura so enthused like this, that is without Sasuke within 5 feet. Kakashi figured she was excited to see him, though he had no idea how mistaken he was. Sakura's head was bowed as she followed Kakashi. Her mind drifted to 3 days ago when she had been assigned to Tazuna, since Naruto and Sasuke had been training hard. A tear formed in her eye as she recalled the faces, the tears, the lack of hope, and the sadness. Flashback. Sakura sat on the rail of the bridge, while construction workers chattered around her. The loud noise of cranes as they lifted the long metal poles for the bridge. Many hammers hammering down nails, and drills rumbled through the air. Sakura was beyond bored, if there was any such thing, and tried to stifle a yawn. Unfortunately, it was loud, and even worse, it was right when Tazuna passed. He eyed the girl, suspiciously. Are you always this lazy? Sakura tried to speak, but another loud yawn made her sound like, HMGN. Tazuna rolled his eyes nearly, but instead decided to ask about Naruto and Sasuke. Yo, where are those other two? You know that Sharingan eye guy, and that weird kid with an attitude. Sakura, for a moment, twitched. They're training, she said, working on their techniques I think. Tazuna chuckled. Too tough for you, is that it? Sakura scoffed. Actually, I've already mastered all of them, and even better, I get special training later. Anyway, since I'm the best, the sensei sent me here to protect you, said Sakura, lying through her teeth. Tazuna stopped. You're joking, he said, seriously. Sakura's eye twitched and she growled in annoyance. She was interrupted when a man walked up. Tazuna, I need to talk to you. Sakura eyed the new person. He seemed to be just about as old as Tazuna, and his face seemed to be nervous. Sakura listened to their conversation. Tazuna sighed. Yeah, what about? The other man scratched his head. Thing is, I've been thinking a lot about the bridge. And I've decided. He started looking away. I pushed my luck far enough, I want out. Tazuna grew furious. Now you're going to quit on me? Just like that? You're kidding. You know, I stayed on because of our friendship. But I'm putting my life on the line every day I stay here. Gato and his thugs will show up eventually, he said, turning back, and when they do they'll kill you, Tazuna, and the bridge will never be completed anyway. Tazuna grimaced. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Come on, it's a lost cause, Tazuna, said the other man with a sigh. Why don't we stop now while we can still get out of this alive? Tazuna didn't speak for a moment, and Sakura wondered if he was actually considering those words. She was about to yell, you'd better not, when Tazuna spoke. No chance, the other man gasped. This is our bridge. Our island is poor, and it will stay that way until this bridge connects us to the mainland. Commerce, trade, and hope, that's what we're building here. There's not going to be much hope if we're all dead. Tazuna began walking forward, past the other man. It's already noon. Let's break for lunch. The other man raised a hand. Come on, Tazuna. Let's not end it like this. Save your breath, interrupted Tazuna. Oh, and Ichi, SP? Don't bother coming back after lunch? 6 hours later Sakura followed Tazuna later as they walked through the town. Where are we going? Sakura nodded, and continued to walk beside him. She suddenly noticed a young boy running off with some food, while another yelled, "Thief!" Sakura frowned. It was then she began noticing the people around her. Adults carrying signs that said things like, "homeless," and kids sitting alone of the streets. Everyone's face showed desperation, hopelessness, and fear. Their clothes were raggedy as well, with lots of holes. What's wrong with these people, though, Sakura? Ah, here we are, interrupted Tazuna. Sakura looked up and followed him into an old-looking house. She looked around at the shelves lined with a random assortment of fruits and vegetables. They were old-looking and there wasn't too much. "Welcome," said an old man. Sakura frowned. "This is a store? There's nothing here." Another man, passing by, suddenly spotted the bag that Sakura carried. He smiled and reached out. Sakura suddenly felt something brush against her. It felt like a hand. She did an outside crescent kick and kicked somebody in the face. "You pervert," she yelled. "No," said the man, who flew into a wall. "I was, gah." "Wow," said Tazuna, once they had walked out. "You really surprised me back there. Girls around here don't usually fight like that." Sakura maintained her angry face. "They should," she said, nearly shouting, "something is seriously wrong here." Sakura stopped suddenly, feeling someone grab her ass. She tensed and nearly kicked out. Again, turning around she yelled, "Hey, Buster." She stopped short, seeing a startled little boy. Sakura's eyes softened. The little boy held his hands out. "Please?" Sakura's eyes softened even more, as she rummaged through her bag. Here," she said, giving the boy some candy. The boy smiled happily as he accepted the candy, saying, "Ah, thank you." Sakura nodded. Sakura wiped a tear away as she watched the boy run off. This is how it's been since Gato came here. The children suffer, and the adults are afraid to stand up to him. They've lost all hope. That's why we have to finish the bridge. It will bring commerce and trade, but much more importantly, that bridge is a symbol of courage. We must restore the spirit of our people. Sakura watched him with saddened eyes. When the bridge is finished, people will start to believe again. They'll believe they can live with dignity. We can't let Gato stop us. Sakura looked up sadly. Sasuke, Naruto, we had to help them, she thought miserably. End flashback. Sakura, interrupted Kakashi. Sakura looked up, startled. Don't worry too much about that story about Inari's father. I have already promised that I will protect Tazuna and the bridge. We won't let Gato have his way. And, knowing Naruto and Sasuke, they won't either. Sakura nodded, as the thoughts of Inari's father slipped from her mind. She smiled sadly, remembering how he had been described as a hero. She remembered every detail Tazuna had included when he described Kaisa's work in the village and his brutal death. She knew she wouldn't let Gato get away with that kind of murder. She then thought of Inari. How he had been heartbroken, and how Naruto had clumsily called him a loser. But he was right, argued Sakura's conscience. Sakura shed a tear. They would make everything better again, and she would help. Now, we'll get to be the heroes, she thought, deeper in the forest. In an empty clearing, flashes of light could be seen, randomly appearing. However, they weren't just ordinary flashes from the contact of two kunai moving at insane speeds. The two kunai belonged to none other than Sasuke and Naruto. "Kage Buyo," shouted Sasuke. He got behind Naruto, whilst the other grimaced and tensed up for Shishi Renden. Lion's Barrage. It never came as Sasuke grabbed Naruto and helped him back to the floor. He sat down and looked up. The two had been training for 2 days, non-stop. Although their bodies were physically spent, they kept going on chakra alone. It was easy with the mass training they had done in their previous life. They knew how to maintain their chakra, and to continue to fight using their chakra to keep themselves up. Thus, they could train for long hours, to toughen up mentally, they could train to use just the right amount of chakra, and they would get faster and faster. The only drawback was, they slowly lost chakra, and if they kept going they would eventually be unable to fight. Both boys were worn out and held numerous cuts from the kunai blades. They hadn't been able to block every stroke every time. "Hey, I think we should call it a day, Sasuke," said Naruto, gasping for breath. Sasuke was covered in a lot of mud from Naruto's earth-style jutsus, and Naruto was feeling a little bit burnt from Sasuke's Gokakyu no Jutsu, Fireball Jutsu. "Yeah, right," said Sasuke. Both boys collapsed, while Kyuubi gave them a quick recap of their training. "Okay, brats, not bad. You managed to get 30 hours of ninjutsu training, 15 hours of taijutsu and genjutsu training, and 5 hours for your special techniques and sparring. I still think your Rasengan is a little bit off, Naruto. But anyway, good job. Take a break and maybe a nap and then we'll figure out what to do next." "Right, Kyuubi," replied Naruto, lazily. "Whatever," said Sasuke. Both boys shut their eyes and instantly let the darkness take them in. "Hee, I'm getting soft," murmured Kyuubi, watching the two sleep peacefully. "Huh, what's this?" Kyuubi detected movement to the right of the two sleeping boys. He took over Naruto's nose and sniffed. Oh no, it's him. Kyuubi panicked and started yelling, "Wake up, brats. It's Haku, he's here." Both Naruto and Sasuke twitched, though they remained firmly asleep. Their loss of chakra had made them very tired. Meanwhile, Haku stepped out from the shadows of the tree and approached the two boys. He stopped right over Naruto and slowly bent down. His eye twitched slightly as he reached out towards Naruto's neck. His fingers curved, as he made ready to break Naruto's neck. "Here's my chance. If I do this, then Zabuza won't." He stopped short, remembering his vow to fight an even match with Naruto. Haku struggled internally with himself, wondering why he couldn't break Naruto's neck. Remembering his fight, long ago with Naruto and Sasuke, Haku's memories flashed before his eyes. He remembered Naruto's words, how he wanted to be the best and to be recognized. He remembered how much the two genin in front of him had seemed to dislike each other, but had come together to prevail against him. Haku's eyes softened and he shook both boys, before jumping back. They both groaned, but slowly opened their eyes. "Kyuubi," whined Naruto. "What is the meaning of this?" shouted Sasuke. "I'm trying to rest here." Kyuubi laughed. "Oh, you guys will probably wish it was me that woke you." As Sasuke and Naruto growled, waiting for Kyuubi to explain, a voice interrupted them. "You shouldn't sleep on the ground. You'll catch a cold." Naruto and Sasuke tensed, and they turned to the left, where the voice had come from. "Haku," said Naruto, softly. Sasuke's eyes narrowed. He knew that in his current state, he would be hard-pressed to fight with Haku. Naruto thought along the same lines, and his eyes darted left and right, thinking of a strategy. "You don't have to worry," said Haku, seeing the way they eyed him as a considerable amount of danger. "I won't attack you, not here." Naruto and Sasuke exchanged a glance and they both nodded. For some time, Haku eyed both Naruto and Sasuke, resulting in an uncomfortable silence. "I see you two have gotten stronger," said Haku. "We have," answered Naruto, "because we've found our own precious people." Sasuke, ed at this statement. Haku smiled, genuinely, "I see, well then. I can tell already what the outcome of our fight will be already." Naruto and Sasuke remained silent, though their eyes narrowed. "However, despite knowing that I would probably lose in a battle against you," he said, ahead of Naruto's question, "I will fight you anyway. For my own precious person." Naruto shook his head. "Haku, you don't have to do this. Don't you remember the outcome last time? Zabuza sacrificed himself in the end anyway, and Gato doesn't care about you guys. Why don't you guys just give up? You can come to Konoha, I'm sure." "No," Naruto's mouth closed, while Sasuke frowned. "I'm sorry," apologized Haku, "but I have my own reason for doing this. And just as last time, I will fight you with all my strength. You have no need to worry about Gato or about Tazuna. I have already convinced Zabuza not to kill the bridge builder. He only wants his chance at Sasuke, and I want my chance at your sensei. And another one of our colleagues, I guess you can say, wants his chance with you, Naruto. He came back from the dead just to have a word. I must say he isn't really my taste, but I have no doubt you will eat him again." Naruto twitched. "What do you mean?" Haku smiled, mysteriously. "You'll find out in due time," he said, before walking away. Naruto shared an uneasy glance. They didn't like what they were hearing, but they were in no position to follow Haku. Close by, Kakashi and Sakura walked past Haku, though they did not know it was the same hunter ninja that had saved Kakashi. Haku eyed them warily but muttered a simple, "Good morning." "Hi," said Sakura, friendly, while Kakashi just nodded. They passed without incident and found Naruto and Sasuke lying on the floor panting. Sakura sighed, "Geez, you two need to stop going all crazy with this training. How much use are you two going to be if you're all wasted away like this?" "Cha, Naruto, you're going to pay for making Sasuke all tired like that." "Cha?" Kakashi frowned, "She's right. Take a break you two. Food is ready, so let's go eat." Neither Naruto nor Sasuke were in a mood to argue, so they stood up and followed the other two to the house. "Naruto, are you ready? I don't know who holds a grudge against you, but you're going to need to take him out. If we are to try and save Haku and Zabuza from pointless deaths this time, then, shut up, Sasuke. I know already, don't worry about me." Kyuubi laughed while Sasuke smirked. He remembered back when Naruto was still brainless idiot. "Hey, he still is a brainless idiot." "I heard that," muttered Naruto, darkly. "But it is true," added Kyuubi, laughing with Sasuke. Naruto's face got darker and darker. The next day Zabuza walked swiftly on the water towards the bridge. Behind him was his trusted apprentice, Haku, and a hooded man. "Zabuza, are you sure? Will that boy come? I don't want to have wasted my time." Zabuza grunted, "Of course he'll come. You can count on Haku's information that he will be here." "Good," said the masked man, while Haku remained silent, "because I will most definitely enjoy the look on his face when I kill him this time." Haku frowned, knowing he had no idea what he was in for. "Haku, you ready? I don't know what happened to you the first time you met them, but I don't want that to affect your performance today. Is that clear?" Haku nodded, "Hi." Meanwhile, Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura followed Tazuna out the door. They left Naruto at the house, due to his request. "Alright," said Kakashi, "let's go. Miss Tsunami, I'll leave Naruto in your care." As Kakashi turned, Tsunami nodded. "Good luck," she shouted back, worried about Kakashi's condition. She was still unsure whether he was really okay or he was faking it. "You'd better protect him with your life," she thought. She returned to the house and checked up on Naruto, who was his. She smiled. "Hey, Inari, come over here and help me." "Sure, Mom," came the boy's reply. Meanwhile, two samurai drew their swords and stepped onto the porch. They both grinned. About the same time, Naruto stopped his ninjutsu and shifted his eyes toward the house. "They're here." 1 hour later. "Oh no," muttered Tazuna. Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura all gasped. They stood on one end of the bridge, which had been extended since their stay. They could see the edge some distance up ahead. And in between that distance, there laid bodies, dead bodies. To make it worse, a sudden mist was starting to descend on the group. "This mist," murmured Kakashi, looking fearful. "It's him," warned Sasuke. He leapt up and shouted, "Futon! Daitopa!" Sasuke let out a small gust of wind that blew away the mist. When it had cleared, Zabuza, Haku, and a mysterious hooded ninja stood in their path. Tazuna gulped and backed away, while Sasuke grimaced. He knew they were at a disadvantage. He had no idea how much Haku had improved for this fight, and he knew he would have to face him on 1-1. That left Kakashi to fight two other Junin ninjas, probably just as good as himself. It didn't look good. But then again, figured Sasuke, it didn't look good last time either. "I knew he was still alive," thought Kakashi, he just couldn't wait for round 2. "Sakura, protect Tazuna. Me and Sasuke will handle these three." Sakura nodded, while Sasuke and Kakashi each drew a kunai. "Sorry I kept you waiting," said Zabuza, coldly, "and I see you still got those brats with you. Pitiful." 7 Mizu bunchins appeared from the ground. "Ah, that young one is trembling," said Zabuza, pointing at Sasuke. Sasuke smiled. "I'm trembling, from excitement." Zabuza frowned. "Go on, Sasuke," urged Kakashi. Zabuza forced his clones to all swing, but to his surprise they were all destroyed in a matter of seconds. "Sasuke has used his palm at amazing speeds to slice through the bodies." "Impressive," said Zabuza. "Haku will easily take you down." Sasuke frowned as Haku stepped up. He had put his mask back on and seemed to be emotionless. Sasuke knew he was having a hard time attacking. Sasuke nodded to Kakashi and stepped forward to face his challenge. He was going to let Haku have the first move. Haku's new technique, Bridge Fight Part 1. On the bridge, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi formed a semicircle in front of Tazuna. Sasuke was in front, facing down the 3 hidden mist shinobi in their path. On the other side, Zabuza stood next to a mysterious masked figure, while Haku stepped forward. Sasuke braced himself for Haku's first move. "Well," began Kakashi before anyone made a move, "so I had it right, it was all an act, with a cute little mask." Sasuke smirked, while Tazuna and Sakura exchanged amused glances. "So, all of that stuff about being a tracker ninja protecting his village was a bunch of bull, said Tazuna bravely. Kakashi shrugged. "They look pretty chummy. I bet they've been pulling scams like this for a long time." "He's got some nerve," shouted Sakura. "And still hiding behind that mask, who does he think he's fooling?" added Kakashi, humorously. Sakura twitched. "Speak for yourself, sensei," said Sakura irritably, thinking of his mask. "I'll handle him," said Sasuke. Sakura clapped her hands together. "Sasuke, you are so cool." While Kakashi mentally sighed, Sasuke twitched. He hated when she got like that. Meanwhile, Zabuza and Haku remained silent, eyeing their opponents and whispering. "They've gotten stronger again," noted Haku. "It will be considerably more difficult to face them." "Yes, that may be so, but that boy's first move will have given us an advantage. We managed to somewhat gauge that boy's strength. He moves just as fast as you, Haku. But your technique should be able to defeat him." "Even my techniques may not be strong enough, Zabuza. He's getting more impressive than ever." Zabuza shrugged. "If I had had help against him last time, I would have undoubtedly won. The problems arose when they freed Kakashi. You should have no trouble. Plus we have him today," said Zabuza, gesturing back towards the masked ninja, who shrugged. "I hope you're right, Zabuza," said Haku. "These aren't ordinary Junin or Genin, for that matter we're dealing with, they're much more than just that." Haku mentally sighed, and to be honest, they haven't been fighting to their full strength. Zabuza shrugged. "Just do as you're told." Haku nodded. "They're mine." The masked ninja shifted. "Just save the one called Naruto Uzumaki for me." Haku frowned, seeing as he had wanted to be the one to fight the boy. "Fine, Naruto is yours." "Hurry up, Haku," demanded Zabuza. "I don't care which one you attack, but save at least Sharingan for me." Haku nodded. While Sasuke got into a defensive stance, Haku began to rotate his body. Now, appearing to be a mini tornado, he moved towards Sasuke, but soon disappeared. Sasuke smirked as his eyes shifted upwards. He readied his kunai and then stepped back, at the same time thrusting out his weapon. Meanwhile, back at the house, Tsunami calmly cleaned the dishes, while humming to herself. She was interrupted as she heard something break. Turning instinctually, she saw her wall broken down, and two samurai standing in the hole they had made. She felt her heart turn to ice as she recognized the two of them as her husband's murderers. They were called Zori and Waraji. "So you're Tazuna's daughter, huh?" asked Zori, the shorter one, with blue hair. "Too bad, you'll have to come with us, now." While he smirked, Waraji, a taller and more muscular man with an eye patch, approached menacingly. Tsunami crouched into a corner and held a saucer pan in front of her. Offended, the samurai grabbed the pan and smashed it into the sink, successfully breaking the two. Plates broke, and water was everywhere. Tsunami screamed loudly, and it traveled all through the house, reaching the ears of Inari, who had been washing his hands. In the meantime, she shivered in fear, wondering if she would be next. "Mother." Tsunami looked up and for a moment couldn't believe Inari was standing there, trying to hide behind a wall. The two samurai were startled by his presence at first, but they soon realized they were dealing with a little kid. Tsunami suddenly realized the immense danger of the current situation and she yelled, "No, don't come out here. Run away, hurry." Inari flinched, but before he could move, Zori had pointed at him, "Don't move." Waraji approached him with an evil grin. "Shall we grab this one too?" "No," replied Zori. "Gato asked for only one hostage." Inari froze in fear. Hostage, he thought, frightfully. "All right," said Waraji, "then let's waste him." Muttered Waraji, grinning evilly. He slowly pulled his sword out of its sheath. "Wait," interrupted Tsunami. Waraji stopped and Zori stared at her, as if waiting to see what her intentions were. Tsunami's face darkened. "Please don't hurt my son. I'm begging you, he's just a boy." Inari's eyes widened at these words. "I'll do anything, just please don't hurt him." Zori shrugged, while Waraji smirked. As he sheathed his sword, Zori turned back to Inari. "Looks like your mom came through for you, kid, lucky." Shedding tears, Inari collapsed on his knees. Zori and Waraji stared at the pitiful sight of him. "What a waste, I was in the mood to cut something." Zori touched his partner on the shoulder. "Give it a rest, you already drew blood today." Turning back to Tsunami, he grabbed her arm. "Let's get her out of here." The two tied her up and then slowly led her out. Inari continued crying and pounding his fists. "I'm sorry, Mom," choked out Inari, as Tsunami was marched out. "I'm sorry. What could I do? I'm too weak to protect you. I'm scared, I don't want to die," shouted Inari, clutching his hat. As tears continued to fall from his face, Inari suddenly had a flashback of Naruto. "You coward," Inari gasped and looked up. He clearly saw Naruto's face in his mind's eyes. He remembered the words that had broken him down completely, mostly because he knew them to be true. "Listen to yourself crying and complaining like some sorry victim. You're nothing but a coward, coward, coward." The word rang through Inari's head as he remembered his father. "If you truly care about something, protect it, with both arms," his father would used to say. Inari's crying slowly began to cease as he wiped them off and thought of his father. Flashes of the ninja, Tazuna, his mother, and his father flashed before his eyes. Each of them had fierce looks in their eyes, one Inari considered brave. Can I be that strong too?" Inari wiped his eyes one last time, and stood up, with a defiant look in his eyes. "Father," he cried, before rushing out the door. Meanwhile, the two samurai led Tsunami across a small wooden bridge to where their boat lay in wait. Waraji stopped for a second and placed the hilt of his sword under Tsunami's neck. "Haha, we're going to treat you just fine, so don't you worry your pretty little hair." Zori sighed, as he pushed Tsunami along. "Come on, keep moving. Stop." The three turned to see Inari standing behind them, with a defiant look. Well, if it isn't the little tough guy." "Huh, Inari. How cute," said Waraji. "You've come to save your mom." Inari shivered, but he remained defiant. You better get away from my mom." Inari began to run forward, despite Tsunami's protests of, "No, go back." "Well," said Waraji, "this kid is a little short on brains, don't you think? Take him down," sighed Zori, drawing his blade. "Ah," yelled Inari, as he charged. If you hurt him," threatened Tsunami, "I swear I'll plunk." Tsunami fell forward mumbling, "Inari," as Zori knocked her out. "Shut up, take a nap." Continued Inari, running forward. Zori and Waraji both swung their swords simultaneously and cut through their target. The bridge, clang. Sasuke's thrust made contact as Haku appeared in front of him, thrusting out a senbon. The two pushed against the other's weapon some time before shifting position and thrusting out again. Clang. "Too slow," pointed out Sasuke. Haku backed off and faced off against Sasuke. "So, I see," he said, before slowly merging with the surrounding water. Sasuke looked around. waiting to see where Haku would rise out. He wed when the ninja snuck behind him and threw his senbon. Sasuke flipped and in a matrix-style flip, dodged all 3 needles. He then X-blocked as Haku came in with a swift uppercut. Haku then proceeded to rapidly attack with punches, all of which Sasuke blocked. Sasuke then retaliated by using konoha reppu, knocking Haku off his feet. The experienced ninja however was able to use this to an advantage and did 3 quick hand seals with a single hand. Kakashi gasped at this. Hand signs with one hand? I've never seen such a thing. Hagoromo no jutsu. Ice prison technique. Kakashi tensed, remembering how the water prison had caught him. Now Sasuke was up against an ice prison. To Sasuke's surprise, Haku leapt back, and immediately afterwards, ice began to form on his feet. Sasuke struggled, though it was no use, he couldn't break free of the ice. To make matters worse, 3 ice pillars had shot up from the ground and were beginning to encase him. Sasuke formed 2 hand signs and shouted, Kaden. Gokakyu no jutsu. Inhaling deeply, Sasuke blew out just as strong, letting out a thin flame that widened into a fireball. However, Sasuke aimed at his feet, instead of at Haku, and the fire was able to weaken the ice. Sasuke, watch out, yelled Sakura, who could see that the pillars were beginning to connect together. Able to break free of the ice entrapping his feet, Sasuke narrowly avoided being trapped, by using shunshin. He disappeared in a poof of smoke, going through the top, just as the ice sealed over. Once he had moved in place behind Haku, he used a swift flick of his arm, flinging 3 shuriken at Haku, who was astounded he had gotten away. On the sidelines, Sakura let out a long sigh of relief, while Kakashi mentally sighed. He definitely cut it close. Too close. Meanwhile Zabuza grunted. Come on Haku, find an opening and kill him. Back in the fight, Haku countered with 3 senbon needles and then flipped upwards to avoid a kunai. While Haku was in midair, Sasuke opened his mouth and a snake came out. The snake attacked Haku, though he easily sliced it in half. Although this disgusted Sakura and Tazuna, frightened Kakashi. Though not literally, more like OMG, what the hell, and impressed Zabuza, it did its job of distracting Haku. Sasuke reached deep behind his back and pulled out the Kusanagi no Tsurugi. Kusanagi sword. Sword of heavens. Mikazuki no Mai. Haku turned and exclaimed in surprise as Sasuke split into 3 clones and began waving the sword in a complicated pattern. That technique, thought Kakashi, I thought only Naruto knew it. Sasuke is so cool, thought Sakura. What a kid, thought Tazuna. Mizu Bunshin, thought Haku, forming a hand sign. While a clone quickly formed behind Haku, out of the eye of Sasuke, Haku was able to teleport away, just as Sasuke slashed the clone's shoulders. To his irritation the Haku turned to water and splashed to the ground. He groaned and then turned, slicing horizontally. Sakura gasped as Haku took a cut to the stomach. Meanwhile, Kakashi smirked proudly as he stared at Zabuza. His eyes seemed to say, care to try fighting him yourself? Meanwhile 3 log pieces clattered to the ground, from the result of Zori and Uraji's slashes. Both samurai gaped at it. It's a substitution jutsu, stated Zori, fearfully. He knew of the ninja techniques and had sworn never to experience one's wrath. And the woman is gone, said Uraji, turning. Sorry I'm late, interrupted Naruto. Zori and Uraji turned sharply to take in their new opponent. Huh, who's that? Asked Uraji. Naruto had Inari over his shoulders and he had gently laid Tsunami on the bridge. He then grinned at Inari, but, you know, heroes usually show up at the last minute. Inari looked, astonished at the voice. Naruto, it's you. Naruto set Inari down, and smiled at him. Who else? Began Naruto. Inari, you did great. When you charged like that, it showed just how brave you are. And it also allowed me to get your mom out of there with an awesome jutsu. Wow, Naruto, I thought you went out to train. Naruto grinned, those two made so much noise, it's hard to not hear them. Zori twitched, while Uraji's eyes widened. Why, you, hey Zori, he's just a little kid. One of those ninja brats Tazuna hired. Zori's confidence increased somewhat and he nodded, let's get him. Naruto sighed as the 2 samurai carelessly charged. He held up a finger and then threw some shuriken. The 2 samurai blocked them. Try something else, shouted Zori. Naruto shook his head, nah. Those 2 shuriken were good enough. Inari gaped as the 2 shuriken Naruto had originally thrown circled around the 2 samurai and struck them in the back. Both went down in a flash crying for mercy. Naruto was upon them in a poof of smoke and with 2 jabs to their temples, knocked them out. He then proceeded to tie them up. Peefed, what a bunch of bakas, said Kyuubi, lazily, from his slumber. Well, they're okay fighters, just they're no match for an Uzumaki. Yeah, right, said Kyuubi. Naruto laughed mentally and said, I'm just that great. Kyuubi scoffed, but remained silent. Arg, continued Naruto. Annoyed Kyuubi was ignoring him, you'll see, but wait I need to talk to Inari first. Peefed, whatever, brat. Why you did it, stammered Inari, in surprise. Naruto laughed, of course. Inari blinked in surprise. He laughed slightly. That was so excellent, just like a real ninja. Brat, I am a real ninja, that's what I've been telling you. I'm the greatest ninja in Konoha, bragged Naruto, laughing. Inari blinked again, but he mouth formed a wide smile, and he laughed. Oh, yay, Inari. Inari looked up. Huh? Calling you a coward? Well, it was mean. And it's not true, said Naruto, placing a hand on Inari's shoulders. Cause you were really brave. Inari blinked several times, before he suddenly began to shake. Tears threatened to come up, and Inari tried to hold them back. I'm sorry, apologized Inari, through sobs. I promised myself I wouldn't cry anymore. You're gonna make fun of me again and call me a baby, but I just can't stop. Naruto eyed the boy and then turned to look into the horizon beyond the sea. He searched for the right words to tell him. What are you talking about? You're happy, what's wrong with that? Hee. Inari blinked in surprise and wiped the tears away. Naruto closed his eyes. When you're happy, it's okay to cry, really it is. Naruto, said Inari. Hee, I guess I can leave these two up to you now, can't? Inari turned. Yeah I guess. Great, then I'm going to the bridge. And remember it's not easy being a hero, it's tough, but someone has to do it. Inari nodded. Right, he said, raising a fist. Naruto smiled as he turned and leapt away. What a nice kid, said Naruto, happily. You're an even bigger baka than him, came Kyuubi's reply. It's okay to cry when you're happy, mocked Kyuubi. Naruto mentally slapped Kyuubi. Hey, what else was I supposed to say? Kyuubi laughed. I was joking, brat. Naruto's sweat dropped. I'll never understand you. The bridge Haku slowly stood up, with blood pouring freely from the wound in his stomach. Zabuza growled. It's impossible. No one is faster than Haku. I progressed past a point in which you can't follow Haku, stated Sasuke. It would be wise if you gave up. Haku didn't reply, but merely stood there, clutching at the wound. It was a small gash, nothing life-threatening. You see, Zabuza, you made a big mistake calling these ninja brats. Sasuke is the #1 rookie in the Hidden Leaf Village, and you've just brought out his attitude, said Kakashi. Well I'll admit, I see the boy has more talent than I originally thought. Haku, if we keep going like this we'll end up being the victims instead of them. Get on with it. Use that jutsu now. Haku turned. No, it would do me no good, for that. He has obviously prepared for it. Remember he has fought me before. I will try something different this time. Well, thought Sasuke, at least that was well thought out. He must have Enkai, bloodline limit, would have been a total waste of time against me. How is this fight going, brat? Fine, replied Sasuke, and how is Naruto doing? We could really use him. It's fine now that other ninja is watching, but if he attacks I don't know if Sakura and Kakashi can hold both of them back. Hey, the brat is on his way. So, how do you plan to fight Haku? Without you in my head every 5 seconds for sure, replied Sasuke, evasively. I don't like your attitude. You have some nerve, but then again I respect it. Oh well, fine, have it your way then. Sasuke felt Kyuubi leave him and he sighed, geez. Meanwhile Haku had leapt up and disappeared over the side of the bridge. Sasuke, with a nod from Kakashi, gave chase and followed him across the water. What does he have planned, thought Sasuke. It didn't take long for Sasuke to find out, when he saw Haku stop and raise his arms. Ice began to form and rise up from the water. Sasuke stopped and activated his sharingan. The technique wasn't a genjutsu, it was some kind of kekai genkei. What? He has another kekai genkei? Haku grinned, and did some hand signs. Sasuke copied them, and the two shouted simultaneously, Hyuden. Haru Moko, Ice Release, Piercing Dragon Fierce Tiger. Sasuke's sweat dropped. He realized that nothing had happened, though he had felt a sudden chakra flare up inside of him. He then saw two tigers made of ice emerge from the ice Haku had conjured. One was considerably larger than the other, and the smaller one was quickly destroyed. Sasuke realized the jutsu created a tiger out of nearby ice, but since he was considerably further away from it than Haku was from the ice, his was considerably weaker. Sasuke frowned as Haku's tiger now charged at him. He did some quick hand seals, yelling, Kaden, Heizekisho, Fire Release, Ash Product Burning. Sasuke blew out a thick cloud of heated ash that surrounded the tiger. Slowly it melted away into water and broke apart. Sasuke then detected movement underneath him, and he quickly used Shunshin to jump. At the same time, Haku emerged from the water, yelling, Suiro no Jutsu, Water Prison Technique. A wall of water quickly closed around the space Sasuke had just been. Sasuke flipped upside down in midair, and did 3 more hand signs. Futon, Daitopa, Wind Release, Great Breakthrough. Sasuke let out of a fierce gust of wind that blew Haku backwards, and also parted the water so much, the land underneath could be seen. When Sasuke stopped, he landed, to see Haku slowly stand up from afar. He easily saw it was a Mizu Bunshin. Sasuke appeared next to it, and destroyed it before it could move. Now, he thought, where's the real one? Behind you, Brad, interrupted Kyuubi. Sasuke ducked just as a senbon needle whizzed by his head. He then leapt up, twisted around in midair, and blocked a sidekick to his midsection. Haku leapt back, along with Sasuke, and the two faced each other. Sasuke noticed the wound on his stomach was gone, so he figured the one he had injured had been a Bunshin. Haku then leapt upward back toward the bridge. At the same time, he began to emit blue chakra from his body. Zabuza noticed this and smirked. It's about time, Haku, he murmured. Sasuke followed, though by the time he recognized the chakra Haku had emitted, it was too late. Ice mirrors formed from the ground and surrounded him. Meanwhile, Kakashi, Tazuna, and Sakura watched with some amount of worry. Kakashi-sensei, what kind of technique is that? Kakashi turned to Sakura, I'm not sure, but I don't like it. It appears Sasuke is trapped within that thing, and I have no doubt something is going on in there. I'll go check it out. Protect Tazuna in the meantime. Sakura nodded and moved in front of Tazuna, while Kakashi ran forward, drawing a kunai. He didn't get very far as Zabuza appeared in front of him. You know, Kakashi, if you interfere in this fight, then I'll kill the bridge builder. Kakashi growled, but stepped back. Zabuza gave him a smug look. There is no way that boy can defeat Haku once he's trapped in her jutsu. Kakashi returned the look with one of his own. Don't underestimate Sasuke. I did it once, and to say I was impressed would have been an understatement. Zabuza growled in response. We'll see, Kakashi. Inside the dome created by Haku's ice mirrors, Haku's image was reflected in each of the ice mirrors. Sasuke, with the sharingan, easily pinpointed the real one and threw a kunai at it. Haku caught the weapon and then used his advantage to throw multiple senbon at Sasuke. The genin easily caught them all, without flinching or moving. I knew this technique would be pointless against him, thought Haku. Haku formed a plan, using his current advantage, and then created two Mizu Bunshins. Sasuke fought them with his taijutsu, while easily dodging senbon needles from the real Haku. Come on, destroy them already, thought Haku. He soon got his wish as he heard the slice of a sword making contact. Sasuke had used the kusanagi again to slice off the heads of the Bunshins, which turned to water and splashed to the ground. While Sasuke dodged more senbon, Haku quickly emerged from the mirrors. Doing some hand signs, Haku suddenly yelled, Sweden. Bakusu Shoha. Water release, exploding water shockwave. Haku spit out an enormous amount of water from his mouth that filled the entire dome and made much of the bridge flooded with water. There was so much water that Tazuna, Sakura, and Kakashi were up to knee-deep in the water. Meanwhile, the sheer force of the water knocked Sasuke back, and he felt his feet leave the ground. His body flew from the dome of ice mirrors, by some chance, and he went over the bridge. Haku smirked, realizing he now had a clear advantage. Releasing his bloodline limit, he dove after Sasuke and did some hand signs. He struck the water near where Sasuke had landed and said softly, Suiro no Jutsu. Sasuke's eyes widened as he tried to leap from the water, but it was too late and he found himself caged and unable to move. Up above, Zabuza smirked, while Sakura yelled, Nope, Sasuke. Kakashi instructed her to guard Tazuna, while he slipped down his mask, to reveal the sharingan. Before he could move, the mysterious masked ninja had appeared in front of them. Hello there. He began to draw some sort of weapon from its sheath, but Zabuza stopped him. I'll handle Kakashi. You go and stop that boy. He is close. Sakura gasped, Naruto? The mysterious ninja nodded and vanished. Zabuza swung his zanbatsu in front of Kakashi. So, Kakashi, it looks like it's just you and me now. Kakashi grimaced. Sakura, continue to protect Tazuna. Don't let anything by, and especially clones of that boy. Sakura nodded and stepped back with Tazuna. In the meantime, continued Kakashi, it seems we'll have to fight. Meanwhile, the masked ninja ran along the bridge back to the island. Once he reached the edge, a figure appeared in front of him. So, said Naruto, you must be that ninja Haku talked about. The figure didn't reply, only drew two pike-like swords. Naruto seemed to recognize them, since he laughed. Oh, it's you. The masked ninja began to remove his mask. I've waited a long time to get my revenge on you. Prepare yourself, for I'm about to give you the grandest funeral yet. We'll see, was Naruto's reply, as he pulled his signature katana from a sheath hidden inside his shirt. Battle Part 2. Sasuke's plan, Kakashi's stand. Summary. In the Land of Waves, Zabuza, Raiga, and Haku take on our favorite Genin and Kakashi in one-on-one fights. While one side defends Tazuna, a bridge builder that signifies hope for his country, the other side is looking for revenge and to kill him. Raiga gave a roar and charged at Naruto. Naruto bent his knees and then leapt high up just as Raiga slammed the ground. Naruto spun in midair and appeared behind Raiga. You shouldn't leave yourself open. Konoha daisenpu. Naruto did a swift high roundhouse kick, which missed when Raiga ducked, but he quickly followed with a low roundhouse kick that was blindingly fast. Raiga was able to block it, though he slid back a couple of yards. However, the mist assassin had no time to skid along the ground for Naruto charged yelling, "Mikazuki no Mai." The blonde appeared to be a flash as he split into 3 forms, each waving an amazingly decorated sword. Raiga suddenly knelt down and in an arc swung his pike-like sword upwards. Naruto's downward slash was blocked as well as his thrust and his side cut. Naruto landed in front of Raiga, somewhat surprised. He hadn't expected Raiga to be quite this fast. The last time they had fought, Raiga was considerably slower. "Baka, he's probably been training," said Kyuubi. "Duh, I think I'm a bit ahead of you, Kyuubi. Anyway, stop bothering me and go bother Sasuke." "Brat, I will stay in your head as long as I want to." Naruto laughed. "Wow, and here I thought you never wanted to be near me. Now that your spirit is technically free, I thought you'd go out and do as you please. Guess I was wrong." Naruto chuckled hearing Kyuubi growl at the statement. "Brat, you know very well that in my current state I can't do anything. I can only communicate with you and Sasuke, because after you died I did a jutsu that turned my body into a spirit. Immediately afterwards I used a follow-up technique that allowed me to communicate with the two of you. Although I can leave your heads, I can't possess nor communicate with any other person. And anyway, knowing you, you're not going to summon me into a human form, because then I'd kill you. So, I have to be content just lingering in your heads." "Ho, ho," replied Naruto, who ducked to avoid a swipe by Raiga. He then leapt back as the mist assassin threw a punch at him. Naruto scoffed, "So, Raiga, weren't you telling me some time ago that you hated Zabuza? And know you're working with him, seems strange." Raiga growled, "I don't need to answer you." Naruto sighed, as he sheathed his sword. "Well, I really didn't want to have to kill you, but I guess life is just like that sometimes." Naruto focused his chakra to his arms and legs to increase the power, and then used Shunshin, quickly moving behind Raiga. From there, he yelled, "Konoha Reppu." Naruto swept out with his right leg, blindingly fast, but Raiga appeared to easily jump over it and with his fist punched Naruto's leg. Naruto took the blunt of the blow, though with his previous training it didn't hurt as much as Raiga would have liked. Naruto used Shunshin to move some distance away. He stood slowly testing and stretching his leg. Wow, what an attack. Looks like he really got better since he was back. Well, that's just fine, thought Naruto, looks like I'll get a real workout. You're not thinking of calling upon the Makai, demon world, chakra are you, brat? Exactly, replied Naruto, I think I'm going to try out that new jutsu you showed me a while back. And then, I'll finish him off with Rasengan. While Kyuubi growled, pointing out that Naruto could just remove his seals and kill him with Hiraishin or even Shunshin, the boy continued to dodge Raiga's onslaught of punches. Having trouble there, Dobi? Don't tell me I need to break out of this prison here just to save your sorry ass? Interrupted Sasuke. Peeved, I'm doing just fine here. Like I need someone like you to help me with. Oh yeah, the guy's name is Raiga. But back on point, I don't need your help. Why don't you go chat with Haku or something? Since I'm preoccupied I can't, and plus, it'd be really beneficial if we could get him and Zabuza to come to Konoha with us. Not this guy though, he's a bit crazy in the head. In the water, Sasuke shrugged. Whatever, Dobi. He turned to face the young boy that was still holding the water prison up. No, Haku. If you guys were to surrender, we could take you guys back with us to Konoha and put in a good word for you. You must know now, since my chakra is starting to overcome your jutsu, that there is no way you can beat us. And this Raiga, I really don't care how much stronger you think he's got, Naruto will beat him. Haku glanced at Sasuke. He knew the genin was right, he could feel his jutsu getting weaker and weaker. He decided to ask a question, why haven't you broken out yet? I know you can easily do it. Sasuke smirked, I'm giving you an opportunity right now, to decide whether or not you will surrender. If you do, then I will spare you and Zabuza. I can't say much for the other guy. Based on Naruto's last message, I'm not too concerned. He hasn't even taken off his level 1 chakra seals yet. The guy must be a pushover. But besides that, you have. Sasuke paused and gauged his current chakra strength, about 5 minutes to decide. After that, I will have no choice but to kill you, Zabuza, and if that Dobi hasn't beaten Raiga by then, him as well. Haku looked through the eye hole of his mask, and turned to Sasuke. He decided to ask Sasuke more questions to see how strong he was. Sasuke, how are you still moving? Asked Haku. That technique should have prevented any movement from you. Explain. Sasuke laughed, give me some credit, Haku. Since the last time you met me, I've trained under 4 different S-class ninja. I'm sure even you have heard of the 3 legendary Sannin of Konoha. I trained under one of them, and by 3 others, whom I won't speak of. Besides, it shouldn't be surprising. My chakra alone can break through your jutsu. What makes you think my strength can't? Haku paled. The 3 legendary ninja, so he's been trained by 1, I see, I now know we cannot beat you. I suppose I should have expected it. But you must understand that I will fight for Zabuza, even if it means the death of me. I was given a command to keep you preoccupied, and so that is what I will do." Sasuke sighed. "What exactly are you trying to prove? You just told me that you want to fight for Zabuza. If we kill you now, how are you going to do that? Just give up already, and we will take you back to Konoha with us." Naruto knows a jutsu that can change your appearance, so well that even the sharingan and other jutsu can see through. You can change the way you live, and become Konoha shinobi. Then you can still fight for Zabuza, and still stay alive. Haku stared at the boy, and pondered over his words. Our plan to counter the sharingan and Naruto has failed. I would never have expected them to get this strong. And maybe if we were to go along with his idea, maybe Zabuza wouldn't have to die so wastefully. He turned to see how the man he admired was doing. He made up a decision. "Sasuke, okay, what do you have in mind?" "Great, glad to see you've finally come your senses. Okay, this is my idea, though we need to wait for the dobi to get here." Raiga, Naruto back on the mainland. Naruto easily avoided the taijutsu onslaught he was receiving. It was surprising to Naruto when the mist ninja suddenly stopped. Naruto stopped in a knelt position, waiting to see the next attack. He got an unexpected situation when clouds suddenly began to close in. Already he could see lightning lighting up the cold, gray clouds. "It's a summoning jutsu of some sort. He's summoning the clouds," said Kyuubi. So he's going to use his lightning attacks on me again. This time they won't work. Don't be so cocky, brat, take this seriously." Naruto didn't bother to reply as he activated his dojutsu, technique involving eyes. He was surprised to SSAW lightning coursing through Raiga's body. The lightning mixed with the chakra and a very powerful new power was being created. As the clouds closed overhead, Raiga raised his two pike-like swords and smiled crazily. Naruto called upon the demon chakra, and blood-red chakra began to surround him. Naruto suddenly exclaimed out loud and tumbled to his left, just as lightning crashed down on where he had just been standing. He used Shunshin to dodge 5 more lightning strikes. Close call, thought Naruto as he knelt behind Raiga. He had not expected the lightning to be so powerful, and his shirt was now smoking slightly at the edge. Naruto summoned chakra to his hands and suddenly charged. Raiga roared in response and lightning surrounded his body like an aura. He formed his arms into an X shape and then suddenly thrust them out wide. The lightning exploded like a flashfire, while Naruto thrust out his arms. His red chakra collided with the lightning and the two attacks vanished. Naruto charged again, this time doing hand signs. However, before he could finish, Raiga summoned another lightning bolt, striking Naruto in the chest. Raiga laughed evilly as he watched the genin fall. He then raised his sword once more and brought it down. Lightning crashed down on the fallen body of Naruto. However, Raiga growled as Naruto disappeared in a poof of smoke and soon appeared in front of him, in a crouched position. Raiga was caught off guard, so he could not move in time, as Naruto formed hand seals. Kyuubi no Jutsu. Demon Fox Jutsu, A.N. This is an entirely fictional jutsu I made, so please tell me if it doesn't make sense or anything. Naruto took the form of the nine-tailed fox, in a miniaturized state, and went into a blindingly fast onslaught of slashes with his claws. Soon after, Naruto stopped briefly, and as Raiga clutched his many bleeding wounds, Naruto knocked him up with his tails, and then leapt up, moving ahead of Raiga. Naruto's claws extended to a considerable length, and he then dived with his arm outstretched towards Raiga's incoming body. He planned on a final blow that would kill Raiga. The blow never hit, however, as lightning crashed down, striking Naruto in the back, dead on. While Raiga flipped in midair and landed gracefully, Naruto's reverted back to his real body and landed on a nearby branch. "It's going to take a lot more than that to get rid of me," growled Naruto, who was now pissed. Raiga frowned. He couldn't figure out why his lightning attacks were having little effect on the genin. "What is up with this kid?" he murmured to himself. "Last time, he couldn't even stand after being hit with my lightning. All of a sudden he's gotten 10 times better." Raiga summoned the lightning to himself and then, with a shout, swung his swords, which literally flung the lightning out towards Naruto. Red chakra appeared on Naruto's hand and he blocked the lightning with his palm. His eyes, which were now entirely red and pupilless, suddenly began to flash. He disappeared and snuck up behind Raiga. Raiga turned swinging his sword like mad, but Naruto leapt over it, and with a bone-shattering punch, left Raiga motionless on the ground. Naruto's eyes returned to normal, and the red chakra subsided. He turned back to face his enemy, who was barely getting up. "Geez, can't this guy just give her something? Looks like I really had to kill him. Brat, we already established that. Finish him off now, while he's on the ground." Naruto frowned at the idea of pounding on a defenseless guy, but he really wanted to go fight Haku. He drew his sword and then sent some of his red chakra inside of it. The sword suddenly turned red and then orange and then burst into flames. Naruto charged, leapt, and sliced downwards, leaving a trail of fire. Raiga turned only to see an orange blur coming down upon him. The bridge, meanwhile, on the bridge Kakashi panted for breath. Defending Tazuna and fighting Zabuza on equal footing were slowly starting to take a toll on his body. Kakashi threw a kunai to his left that was promptly dodged by the experienced killer. Zabuza grunted, "Looks like you're just about beat, Kakashi." Kakashi looked up just as Zabuza threw his blade. The copycat ninja used Shunshin to dodge and snuck up behind Zabuza. Kaden, Gokakyu no Jutsu. Sakura gaped as he sensei blew out a huge stream of fire that engulfed Zabuza. When it cleared, the mist ninja stood still, panting. He had his Zanbatsu out front, that seemed to have taken the blunt of the fire and protected his face and vitals. HMPH, not bad Kakashi, too bad. While you were so distracted you forgot exactly who you were dealing with. Kakashi froze as he felt a kunai to his neck. The battered Zabuza in front of him crashed down in a splash of water. Kakashi sneered in response, "You know, it's too bad you're so arrogant, you can't tell when someone is better than you." Zabuza growled as Kakashi turned to water and splashed to the ground. Zabuza leapt up just as Shuriken landed. Kakashi appeared nearby. He had a hand on his forehead protector. "Hee," chuckled Zabuza, "the Sharingan. You're no fun, Kakashi, using the same old trick. You're just making this so much easier for me, since your Sharingan won't work on me twice." Kakashi didn't reply, but as he began to pull his headband up, Zabuza suddenly threw a shuriken that landed softly into Kakashi's hand. Blood slowly dripped to the floor. Kakashi-sensei, cried out, Sakura, stepping in. Kakashi held a hand signaling for her to stay back. Sakura realized it was pointless to protest. "So," said Kakashi, "was all your talk of my jutsu not working on you twice a joke? You don't seem too happy about me using it." "HMPH, Kakashi," said Zabuza, scowling. "I still have an advantage." The Junin did some hand signs and shouted, "Kirigakure no jutsu." Mist began to cover the area, and soon it was impossible to see what was going on. Sakura stayed near Tazuna and began to summon chakra. She began using the training Naruto gave her a few days back, the one to detect chakra levels. She could see Kakashi, hiding near the side of the bridge, while the mist assassin stood some 20 feet away from him in the middle. "Sasuke, Naruto, where are you?" thought Sakura. "We need your help," she thought desperately. She didn't want to leave the bridge builder alone, but at the same time, Kakashi was beginning to get wearied out. That would leave her with Zabuza. "Let's see," thought Sakura, "if Zabuza beats Kakashi-sensei, and then he'll come after me next. I should be able to hold my own for a while, especially after Sasuke's training tips, but I don't think I'll be able to beat him. And then at the same time, there are so many other factors to worry about, like Tazuna's protection. Arg, what do I do?" Meanwhile, Kakashi saw that Sasuke was still in the water prison. The Genin's hands were out and Haku seemed to be stuck. What is he doing? Thought the Junin. He definitely should have been able to get out by now. Maybe something is wrong. And, Naruto, I'm detecting some very powerful chakra not too far away. I hope he's okay. At the same time, Kakashi used his Sharingan to search through the mist for signs of Zabuza, while he pondered his options. I can make a dash for it and help Sasuke. That Haku there seems to be immobile. But then, Zabuza will go after the bridge builder and Sakura. And if Dukage Bunshin, arg, he'll just use his damned Mizu Bunshin. Alright, then, I'll have to take him out hard and quickly. Sasuke and Naruto should be able to handle their own. Kakashi used Shunshin to appear in front of Sakura. "Sakura, I have a new job for you. I want you to go down there and help Sasuke get out of that boy's jutsu. Use the same training I taught you to walk on the water. Don't worry, he is immobile. I think Sasuke used a paralysis jutsu. Go, quickly. Don't worry about Tazuna. I'll make sure he stays safe." "Hi, sensei," replied the kunoichi. Female ninja, she sighed in relief, that she wasn't obligated to protect Tazuna anymore. Sakura leapt off the bridge, focused chakra to her feet. To her surprise, she landed neatly on the water. She quickly searched for Sasuke, finding him to her left. Haku stood, frozen in place with his hand in the water prison. Sakura scowled, "Don't you dare lay a hand on my Sasuke-kun." The kunoichi drew 2 kunai and flung them in Haku's direction. Sasuke saw the kunai, way before Haku, and he was forced to take action. Releasing Haku from the jutsu, he shouted, "Haku, look out." Haku turned, though he was too late to block. Using Shunshin, he pulled his hand from the water prison and vanished, only to reappear nearby. Sakura went wild at the fact she had saved Sasuke, that she threw her arms wide. "Sasuke," Sasuke sighed, and stepped to the side, letting her momentum take her past him. "Sakura, calm down." Sakura paused from trying to hug Sasuke. "Oh right," she said, getting into a fighting stance. "Come down here, we'll beat you any day," shouted Sakura. Sasuke sighed, while Haku mentally groaned. "Sakura, it's okay. He's not fighting us anymore, though I've created a genjutsu illusion on Kakashi and Zabuza so it appears to them that we are. Anyway, since Naruto still isn't here, we're going to need you." Sakura blinked as she stared at Haku, back to Sasuke, and then back over to Haku. "Okay, what did I just miss?" Sasuke sighed, and then began to fill her in on the details of their plan. "Are you ready then, Sasuke?" "Yeah, go ahead Haku." Haku nodded and formed a hand sign. Back on the bridge, Kakashi was standing in front of Tazuna. Kakashi closed both eyes and sent chakra to his nose, waiting to hear the slightest sound. Behind him, Tazuna stared blankly around. What's going on? Where did this mist suddenly come from? Visibility is 0. Kakashi suddenly drew a kunai and Tazuna heard sharp clangs of metal hitting each other. Squinting he could see shuriken lying on the ground near a pair of feet. He couldn't see whom they belonged to, though he figured it was Kakashi. "Hee hee," came Zabuza's chuckle, "just what I expected from the Sharingan warrior. But, next time I attack, will be the last time." Kakashi scowled as he stared ahead. "Where is he?" Kakashi suddenly blocked with his kunai and was knocked back several feet by a kick. "Ah, damn, this mist is affecting my reaction time." "What's wrong, Kakashi? Is the Sharingan not working for you? Let me tell you why. I figured out something about your Sharingan. You see, there is 2 major elements to it, the piercing eye, which allows you to copy my move down to every last detail. And then, you have the hypnotic eye, which allows you get into my head, and make me believe and see things, like a conscious. But with this mist, you can't copy me, and with my eyes closed your hypnotic eye is reduced to nothing." "Brilliant," replied Kakashi, "but aren't you forgetting something? With your eyes closed, you can't see me either." "Bah, are you forgetting who I am, Kakashi? I'm in the demon of the hidden mist, master of the silent kill. All I need is sound to kill you." Kakashi frowned. "An enemy you can't see or hear. It's been a long time since I faced anyone this tough. And Sasuke and Naruto are still fighting on their own." Kakashi breathed slowly, "Stay calm, and think, where will he?" Kakashi's eyes widened, as he turned. "Behind me, the bridge builder." Kakashi appeared behind Tazuna, just as Zabuza materialized. "Too late," shouted the Mist Junin. Kakashi blocked the blow enough, so it only cut a piece of his stomach. At the same time, the blow was wide of Tazuna, and Zabuza growled. "HMPH, your concentration is lacking. Kakashi, is it those 2 boys? I have no doubt things are looking bad for them." Kakashi grimaced, as Zabuza disappeared chuckling. "Boom." Tazuna fell down and suddenly felt a weird feeling before passing out. From his position, Kakashi stumbled. When he regained balance, he turned towards the mainland. "That chakra I just felt, that was. Has the Kyuubi escaped?" "No, the seal is still intact. The chakra only, just, seeped through." "Okay, I may still have time." Kakashi opened a pouch in his vest and a scroll fell out. Unwinding the scroll, Kakashi bit his finger, drawing blood, and rubbed it on the scroll. He then closed it and formed a hand sign. "Zabuza," he started, "I know how you like to drag these things out, but what do you say we finish this? You know, we're both busy men. How about it?" Zabuza's quiet voice came through the mist. I'd like to see how you're going to back up those brave words, but sure, Kakashi. Let's see what you got." Kakashi smiled as he held the scroll. Kachiuse. Doden. Suiga no Jutsu. Summoning. Earth Style. Fang Pursuit Jutsu. Kakashi slammed his scroll down, as words appeared out of it. Meanwhile, Zabuza stood nearby. "I'm disappointed, Kakashi. It doesn't matter what jutsu you use, since you can't find me. You're falling right into my trap, Kakashi. So, I think you're right, it's time to end this." Zabuza placed a hand on his Zanbatsu when suddenly his eyes shot open. "What?" Zabuza lifted a foot as a dog popped out, biting. He growled as 6 more dogs appeared from the ground and bit into him. Arg. The dogs bit deep and held tight, restricting movement. From somewhere in front of him, Zabuza heard Kakashi's voice. "I realized if I couldn't see you, I had to smell you out. That was a summoning jutsu, Zabuza. I called upon my ninja hounds. They can track a scent anywhere. And, when you attacked me, I let you get past my guard. I wanted you to cut me. You see, it was the smell of my blood on your Zanbatsu that led my dogs to you. Surprised? Hey, looks like I wasn't the only one that was blind. And, falling into my trap completely, Zabuza." Zabuza growled in response. He was growing weaker every second, and his chakra was low. The mist soon began to clear up. Kakashi soon came into view, his Sharingan being the only thing Zabuza was concerned about. "Well," said Kakashi, staring at the mist, "looks like the mist is clearing up. And you know what I see? Your death." Talk, grunted Zabuza, "is that your plan, talk me to death?" Kakashi thought about it for a second. "Sure, in a way. Looks at those dogs, one word from me and they'll tear you apart." The two engaged in a staring contest, before Kakashi finally spoke again. "Poor Zabuza, see where your ambitions got you? You were always pushing things too far. Wasn't it the failed Mizukage assassination? Your attempted coup d'etat? You were forced to leave your village with the few followers you had, your country's hunter ninja hot on your trail. You became a rogue ninja whose name was known quickly, even in Konoha. And now, you've become crazy enough to try it again, but first you need money. So what do? You become the hired thug for a swine like Gato. Zabuza grunted. Kakashi sighed. Alright, Zabuza, enough talk. Time to finish this, but I won't use the sharingan or any other technique I've copied over the years. I'll do this with my own technique. As Zabuza stared coldly, Kakashi did 3 hand signs. He soon held his hand out and blue chakra suddenly erupted from the ground. It formed into lightning. The lightning swirled and cackled in Kakashi's palm until it looked like a ball of lightning. Kakashi looked up, and as the ball got bigger he yelled, Chidori. Lightning blade. Zabuza stared in surprise. What? The chakra is so strong, it's visible. What kind of technique is that? He holds it in his hands. Kakashi looked up, cruelly. I won't let you kill Tazuna. He is a brave man, with a noble man. The bridge he is building is the hope of this land and all its people. You're like a disease. By attacking one, you affect all. And you don't care. That is not the way of the shinobi. Zabuza shrugged. You're right. I don't care, all of these useless little people, with their petty little dreams. Why should they matter to me? I have a dream of mine own. Kakashi nodded. Yes, but to have a dream, you must have a future. Unfortunately, you do not. Zabuza snarled. Trying to think of a way to esco your future is all used up. From nearby, Haku, Sakura, and Sasuke watched. Wow, what a jutsu, said Sakura, gaping. Haku, get ready, said Sasuke, ignoring the comment. Haku nodded. Meanwhile Naruto stared at the bloody heap in front of him. His last sword swing had done it. Rinnegan lay dead on the floor with a mixed expression of fear and hatred. Good job, brat. Now, go and help Sasuke and Kakashi. Right, you heard Sasuke. Sure, Dobi, we have it covered on this end. I convinced Haku of your plan. Great, answered the blonde. I'll be there soon. I just killed Rinnegan. He was a bit of a pain, but oh well. He just wouldn't listen to me. From his end, Sasuke sighed. Alright, Haku, I'm ready, go. What do I do? Asked Naruto. Dobi, just don't interrupt us. Shut up, Sasuke Teme. Mainland. Village Inari ran as hard as he could, towards the house of Tazuna's friend. Naruto and the others are fighting and risking their lives, while the rest of us do nothing. We had to do something too. Inari soon arrived at a wooden shack along the coast. He knocked viciously on it. Uncle Giichi, open up. Hurry. Come to the bridge with me. We don't have to hide any longer. If we all fight Gato together, we can take him down. I know we can. Inari waited for a response, then attempted to open the door. It clicked and locked before he touched it. No, Inari, came a voice. I've had enough fighting. Fighting is for heroes, like your father. See what good it did him? Isn't one dead hero enough? Inari's eyes widened slightly as the pain of his father came back to him. What will more fighting bring us? Continued Giichi after a pause. But more fallen heroes? More regrets? No, Inari, my heart is already full of enough regrets to last a lifetime. Inari's shoulders began to shake and he struggled to hold himself. Images of his father and Naruto suddenly rushed back to him. He suddenly looked up, with a burning determination. I don't want to live a life of regret either. All my life, I've been a coward. But just recently, I've just realized that crying, regretting, shutting ourselves away won't do any good. That's why I'm going to fight. Inari turned and ran back down the stairs. He moved from house to house, ready to get whatever support he could. Meanwhile, Giichi shook as he firmly held the door to his small home shut. He suddenly opened his eyes in surprise as he heard Inari's voice, calling for the others' help. An old woman sat nearby sewing. So, our little Inari has finally grown into a man. And you dear, are you just going to send him off like that? The old man trembled even more, as he struggled internally to come up with a decision. Meanwhile, Inari ran from house to house, shouting, is anyone there? Hey, come on out to the bridge with me. We've got to fight, we don't have to hide anymore. He finally reached the last house and shook his head. Arg, what do I do now? No one will even come out. Images of Naruto rushed back to him. Fine, if no one else will help, guess I'm going alone. Inari rushed back home and, seeing his mother finally awake, hugged her. Mom, I'm going to the bridge. I want to help out. Tsunami froze and stared at her son. For a moment she couldn't comprehend what she was hearing. Finally, the point hit her and she shook her head. Don't be ridiculous. I am definitely not letting you go to the bridge alone. Inari shrugged and slung a pack of arrows over his shoulders. I have to go alone, mother, none of the others will go with me. So I have no choice. Tsunami's eyes softened, hearing her son's words of bravery. For a moment she was inclined to let him go, but then her concern got the best of her. No, what do you think you can do by yourself? You're just a kid. I have to go, argued Inari. Even if I'm just a kid, I'm a kid who knows how to stand and fight. I'm my father's kid. The impact of Inari's words struck Tsunami deeply. She was momentarily at a loss for words, but regained them as Inari opened the door. Inari, wait. Inari waved and turned, but immediately stopped. Huh? The bridge. Kakashi closed his eyes, and then lifting up his arm, charge. Zabuza's eyes widened. Is this the end of me? Your ambitions end here, shouted Kakashi as he thrust his arm out. PPPPFFFFTHHSHH. Blood splattered all over Zabuza and his eyes widened even more. Grunted Kakashi as he realized what had just happened. Haku stood in the middle of the two of them, the lightning attack piercing his heart. The dogs holding Zabuza soon disappeared, due to Kakashi's lack of chakra energy. Zabuza didn't move, despite the fact he was now free. As Kakashi's chakra subsided, Haku thrust Kakashi's arm out of the way. I'm sorry, Za. He then fell over, dead. For a moment, Zabuza was speechless, but then his frown turned to a smile. My future is gone. Kakashi? Wrong again? Kakashi frowned as he pulled his arm back. That boy, he jumped in front of my attack. Kakashi's eyes wandered up to Zabuza's. To save your worthless ass. Zabuza chuckled evilly. Hee, good job, Haku. I knew I found a treasure in you, boy. Zabuza gripped his Zanbatsu and sliced downwards. Kakashi jumped high to avoid the slice and landed nearby. Haha, not bad Kakashi, considering you're very low on chakra. Not a bad technique, but you're all used up now. Zabuza charged, but to his surprise Kakashi appeared right in front of him slashing his left arm with his kunai. Zabuza grunted in pain before flying backwards. He landed, clutching his arm. What? Why can't I keep up with him? At the same time, Sasuke picked up Haku's corpse and instantly did a jutsu. Sakura gasped as the mist ninja's eyes flickered and opened. Shush, let them have it first, said Sasuke. Haku nodded and remained motionless. Sasuke turned to Kakashi and Zabuza, who paid them no mind. They were set on destroying each other. Anyway, wait here with Tazuna, Sakura. I'm going to set Haku over there. Sakura nodded, while Sasuke gently laid Haku's body down, not too far from Zabuza. What's wrong Zabuza? I'm low on chakra right? What happened? This should be easy for you. Zabuza growled, then charged. He sliced at Kakashi's head with his blade, once near enough, though only mid-air. Kakashi appeared behind him, and clutched his neck. HMPH. Look at you now, Zabuza. You're falling apart. So, I guess this means, said Kakashi drawing a kunai, game over. Kakashi made to stab Zabuza in the neck, but the mist ninja easily swung his sword around Kakashi's back, forcing the Junin to block it. In the process he rendered Zabuza's other arm useless. The Zanbatsu clattered to the ground, lying far from reach. TCH, now you can't use either of your hands, Zabuza. What are you going to do now? Zabuza growled, though he was saved from an answer by a sudden tap. Huh, said Kakashi, looking. Zabuza stared as well, facing his employer and a whole squad of samurai and ninja. Friends of yours? Asked Kakashi. Zabuza growled at the sight of them. Gato shook his head, so, this is how it turned out. Look at you, Zabuza. Seems they did quite a job on you. What happened to all that talk about being demon of the mist? You look terrible. Gato, I don't understand, what is all this? Why are you here? And who are these thugs you bought with you? Well, said Gato, you see, there's been a change in plans. According to the new plan, you die right here on this bridge. Zabuza's eyes widened. What? You're too expensive, explained Gato, that's why we're taking you off the payroll. Of course, these guys around me cost quite a bit as well, so, if you take some of them out, that'd be great. Think you can manage that? Oh demon of the mist. You're about as demonic as a wet kitten. Behind him, the crowd of thugs all laughed. Kakashi mentally sighed. What an idiot, thought Sakura. I can't believe he would do something like that. Naruto soon landed by Sasuke. Wow, Gato's here already. Looks like I took longer than expected. Sasuke nodded. Great, you ready? Let's get rid of TFOR Zabuza. Naruto nodded. Right. Well, Kakashi, it seems our fight is at an end. Zabuza slowly turned to regard his new enemy, while Kakashi crouched down to rest. Since Gato is no longer my employer, Tazuna is safe from me. And it looks like your little genin has defeated Raiga. Tell him I said, not bad. Kakashi nodded, sure. Meanwhile, Gato spotted Haku's body lying nearby. Haku felt the man approach and say gleefully, ah, that reminds me. This lovely boy grabbed me the other day. I was waiting to pay him back. Gato raised his cane and slammed it down on Haku's face. The boy was unhurt and took the pain, unmoving. Too bad he wasn't able to feel it. Sasuke suddenly nudged Naruto, who instantly realized he was supposed to do something here. And don't forget to act angry and concerned. It usually helps, said Kyuubi, lazily. Naruto ignored the un-Kyuubi-like comment. You're getting soft, Kyuubi. Who would have guessed you, Kyuubi, giving advice to others? Kyuubi didn't reply, though he mentally growled. Naruto put a hurt look on and ran at Gato. Kakashi grabbed his as he passed. Hey, Naruto, stay out of this. Naruto stopped struggling and glared at Zabuza. Hey you, you're just going to let him do that? Be quiet you fool, what does it matter, said Zabuza. What, so you're just going to let Gato treat him like a dog? You don't understand the way of shinobi, boy. I merely used him, just like Gato used me. And now it's over. Of course the loss of his skill is something, but that means something to me. But the boy, nothing. Naruto scoffed, if you really mean that, then you're no shinobi. After everything Haku did for you, after all you've been through, did you know you were the most important thing to him? And he meant nothing to you, nothing at all? He sacrificed so much for you, and through all that you cared nothing for him. What kind of person are you? He threw his life away for you, and for what? For your stupid little dream? Well, what about his dream? You never let him have one. But did he care? No, he fought for you, cared for you, and then he died for you, and you're just going to stand there. Naruto growled, a broken tool. God, that sounds so wrong. From his position Haku struggled to maintain his face and not shed tears. Naruto, meanwhile, Zabuza suddenly, unexplainably began to let tears fall. You talk too much, boy, but your words cut deep, deeper than any blade. When Haku told me of you guys, he advised we shouldn't fight. He was always too soft, full of sorrow and pain. And now, curse him, I'm feeling it too. Zabuza sighed, and then tore the bandage off his mouth with his teeth. Boy, give me your kunai, said Zabuza. Naruto hesitated, and then tossed one of his kunai into the air. Here. Zabuza caught the blade in his teeth, and then with an angry stare at Gato, charge. Gato jumped in fear, and ran into his crowd of swordsmen. Okay, enough of that, he said, hurriedly, someone, get him. The group of swordsmen all cheered and ran at Zabuza with their blades raised. Zabuza stopped and surveyed the group. Darn it, there's too many. He was pulled from his thoughts as Sasuke appeared in front of him. Hey, Zabuza, I know how much you like to fight on your own, but just let us get rid of these thugs for you. Before Zabuza could reply, Sasuke had shouted, Futon. Daitopa. In amazement, Zabuza watched the bodies of the swordsmen and samurai across the bridge and onto the mainland. In front of him, Naruto was holding Gato securely. Let go of me, cried the billionaire. Naruto nodded, of course. He released Gato, and then used Shunshin to block the path of the samurai attempting to help. Sasuke soon joined him. The samurai were confident, and charged, but Naruto used a paralysis jutsu stopping them in their movement. He's all yours, Zabuza, cried out Naruto, cheerfully. Kakashi stared in amazement. So, all that talk was just bullshit, huh, Naruto? He smiled. Well, this has just turned quite interesting. Sakura joined her sensei, along with Tazuna. Yeah, go Zabuza, she cheered. I kind of feel sorry for him, noted Tazuna, staring at Gato. Wait, actually I don't. Gato had realized the dangerous position he was in. He waved his hands at Zabuza. Hold on, can't we talk this through? You know, I was just joking about taking you out, Zabuza. No, really, it was just a joke. Zabuza growled in anger, and charged. Gato gulped and ran. Unfortunately he was no match in speed, compared to Zabuza, and the Junin quickly overtook him. Zabuza used the kunai in his mouth to slash Gato, while rotating his body. On the third rotation, he jabbed the kunai into Gato's heart. The man gulped in surprise, then fell over the bridge. Zabuza paused and then turned to face the frozen samurai. Release them, boy, said Zabuza to Naruto. I want to kill them all. Naruto nodded and released the samurai. They all stared at one another, and then at Zabuza frightfully. None of them wished to make the first move. Zabuza suddenly charged, but Naruto grabbed him and moved him out of the way. Sorry, Zabuza. There's something else that I need to make sure of. Zabuza protested, but the genin's grasp was firm. Meanwhile, the samurai were suddenly trapped. On one side stood Sasuke, and on the other they realized the villagers had banded together under Inari. Inari held small crossbow, grinning like mad, while the villagers were at his back, full of rakes, knives, swords, and shovels. Hey, Naruto, shouted Naruto, sorry, but you know how the heroes always come at the last minute. Naruto smiled. No sweat, he yelled back. The lead samurai, whose name was Hotaku, suddenly said, okay, let's go after that little ninja boy. They were just in a fight, and even though he's tough, there's only one of him, and tons of us, but it's better than a free-for-all with those villagers. Then we can hold them hostage or escape by the water. The other nodded and raised their weapons, but when they turned back to Sasuke, they found 20 of him staring back. The genin had done Kage Bunshin. Good idea, Sasuke, said Kakashi. Kage Bunshin no jutsu. At the same time with Naruto, the two created a total of 40 bunshins. Clearly outmatched, the samurai dropped their weapons and begged for mercy. The villagers let out a mighty cheer, while Tazuna proudly looked at each one. They've all come, the entire village, he thought tearfully. And little Inari, he thought, your father would have been proud. Meanwhile, while the villagers cheered and apologized to Tazuna, Zabuza walked over to Haku's body and then raised a kunai to his heart. Looks like we'll be together soon, huh, Haku? He began to push, but a hand stopped him. Haku, how? Haku had caught Zabuza's blade and then stood up slowly. "Thank you, Zabuza. I'm sorry I wasn't able to do what we had intended." Zabuza shook his head. "No, I should have listened to you." The Konoha ninja stared as the two talked. "Kakashi-sensei, can we bring them back with us? I know a jutsu that can change their appearance. So much even the Sharingan and Byakugan are blind to it." "We'll have to let the Hokage decide that," answered Kakashi. A week later the Konoha ninja, plus Zabuza and Haku stood at the end of the completed bridge, saying their goodbyes. "Hey, Naruto," said Tazuna. "I'd just like to say I was wrong for judging you when we first met. I hope you make that dream of yours. Being Hokage, you know." Naruto smiled. "Thanks, and don't worry about it." "I apologize for going after your life," said Zabuza, after a brief pause. "I hope you'll come to forgive us after time, and I promise to you that I will do my best to change my ways." Everyone stared at him, surprisingly. Zabuza chuckled, and then looked at Naruto. "Well boy, cat got your tongue. Are you surprised that I'm human, despite the fact that I have tried to escape that?" Naruto laughed. "Nope, just wondering why you couldn't be like this at first." Zabuza didn't reply. Haku smiled, it visible now that his mask was gone. "Anyway," said Enri. "You did great, Inari, that was really brave of you." Inari frowned and then suddenly began to cry. "Damn, I told myself I wouldn't cry, and now," Naruto smiled, as he stepped over to ruffle Inari's hair. "Nah, it's okay to cry when you're happy." Inari looked up. "Really?" Naruto nodded. "Yeah, you're happy, it's okay." Inari nodded and stepped back. Tsunami stepped up last and hugged Naruto and kissed him. "Thank you so much for everything you have done for us." Kakashi and Sasuke laughed, as Naruto turned red, and muttered sure. "Baka," said Kyuubi and Sasuke at the same time. Both laughed as Naruto turned beet red and glared daggers at them. "Well, let's get," shouted Sakura. Kakashi nodded one last time to Tazuna, and then the 6 shinobi turned, ready to go to Konoha. Training. Preparations for a confrontation. Naruto slowly sat up, yawning and stretching. He was dead tired from the major training exercises he had to endure the previous 7 days. Today was the last one, but last practice was the last thing Naruto had on his mind. Kyuubi had already warned the last was going to be the worst. Slowly swinging his legs over the bed, he took a look at himself in the mirror. Since training began, his muscles had grown extraordinarily. Add an extra 2,000 pounds of weight seals and he was getting pretty strong. Naruto picked up his Konoha headband, which lay on a nightstand, and quickly tied it on. He then stood up and threw on his black and orange suit. Picking up his sword, Naruto quickly found the sheath on the back of his suit and placed it in. He then quickly placed his sandals on, and then, deciding he was ready for the day, sat down and buttered a piece of toast. "Hurry up and eat, brat. We have a long day today. Remember, just because this is the last day of my training doesn't mean you can slack off. Got it, brat?" Yeah, I get it. You better," muttered Kyuubi, darkly. "Oi, Sasuke Teme. Where are we training today?" asked Naruto, while gulping down some leftover eggs. "At the survival grounds, Dobi." "Right," replied Naruto. He was interrupted as Haku and Zabuza sat down near him. Naruto eyed them, and he smiled inwardly. It was nice to have some company in the house. Flashback. Naruto, Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura stood in front of the Hokage. Behind them, under watch by Anbu members, were Zabuza and Haku. Sarutobi scratched his head. "This is a big request, Kakashi. Although I trust your word that they won't cause trouble, I must still act upon the best interest of this village. And who would watch them while they were here? I cannot spare Anbu members all the time, and I can hardly trust anyone below Jun in rank." Before Kakashi could answer, Naruto stepped forward. "Hey, old man. You don't need anyone to watch them. You know why? 'Cause I'm going to do it." "Naruto, watch who you're speaking to," shouted Iruka. The third Hokage held out a hand to stop Iruka. "Naruto, these are 2 very experienced Junin. What makes you think you'll be able to watch them?" Everyone waited for Naruto's reply. Zabuza was particularly interested in his answer. "Surprise me, boy," he thought. "'Cause I'm a ninja now, old man," said Naruto, nearly shouting. "He is capable, skill-wise I mean," added Kakashi, looking off to the right. Sarutobi thought to himself. He came to a decision after seeing the fierce determination in Naruto's eyes. "Naruto, I'm going to give you a most responsible task. I trust you and your willingness to accept Zabuza. Kakashi, and Team 7, I now give you the mission to watch over Zabuza and Haku until 1. They are used to this village, and 2. Until they have proven their worth. Now, I'm interested in seeing this technique I've been hearing about, Naruto. Let's see the Sharingan fooled." Naruto grinned and turned to Zabuza and Haku, trying to suppress his laughter. Sasuke and Kakashi mentally sighed, while Sakura sweat dropped. Zabuza and Haku, on the other hand, were slightly concerned and gulped when they saw how excited Naruto was. As if he had never tried the technique before, they both gulped. End flashback. "Boy, why are you watching this like that?" asked Zabuza, staring at Naruto. Naruto shrugged. Ah, nothing? He nodded to himself, proud of his work. Every ninja had been impressed when neither Kakashi nor Sasuke could see through Naruto's disguise jutsu. Now, Zabuza and Haku were able to blend in as Konoha shinobi, while in public, and become themselves in privacy. "Oh yeah," said Naruto, suddenly catching the date on his calendar. "I forgot to mention to you guys, but there may be some foreign ninja in town today. So when you guys go out to train later, be ready for them. Some of them are kinda cranky." "Oh, really, I don't care," said Zabuza, indifferently. Haku shook his head. "What's going on, Naruto? Why are there foreign ninja here?" "1 week from today, the 1st of July the Chunin exams are going to start," replied Naruto, briskly, "and well, the old man Hokage is considering whether to let you take part." Zabuza and Haku had both been changed to take the appearance of genin by Naruto, and to keep a closer watch on them. Sarutobi had them sent them into a 3-man squad with a Junin. At this point I won't reveal who the other teammate or the Junin is, so please don't ask. Zabuza and Haku glanced at each other. "That would hardly be fair, Naruto," said Haku. "Both of us are assassins, boy," said Zabuza. "What could a bunch of genin do?" Zabuza almost immediately regretted his words, when Naruto said, "Maybe you're forgetting something, Zabuza. I don't seem to remember getting my ass kicked when we fought." Zabuza scowled and sat back in his chair, falling silent. Haku stifled a laugh. Naruto chuckled to himself, when he suddenly felt a nudge in his head by Kyuubi. "Ahem. Sorry to interrupt this lovely conversation, but it's getting late. Well, anyway I'm off," said Naruto, waving, irritated he had to leave. "Try not to destroy my apartment." "Sure, Naruto-kun," said Haku, nodding. Zabuza waved his hand lazily. Naruto exited the apartment, and then with a huge breath of air, threw his hands wide into the air. "I'm pumped. Time to do some training." Naruto placed his hands together and then disappeared in a poof of smoke. "Baka," scolded Kyuubi, "you could have just walked." As Naruto landed on a branch just above Sakura and Sasuke, who was shaking his head, he muttered back to Kyuubi, "I was too lazy. Whatever, just hurry up, so we can get to the real training." "About time you got here, Dobi," said Sasuke, ignoring Kyuubi. Naruto landed next to Sasuke. He sat down on one of the posts, and then glaring at Sasuke, said, "Alright, what exercise are we doing this time?" The two genin were taking turns picking exercises, while Sasuke thought. Sakura sat down next to Naruto on a post, wondering what exercise the two would do today. Yesterday it had been a match of ninjutsu, and the day before that it was taijutsu. The two were incredible, and Sakura was jealous of their talents when, according to them, she was just coming along. Sasuke grinned and drew his sword. Naruto stared at it with a curious look in his eyes. "You want to do that?" Sasuke nodded. "And the winner gets a free jutsu from Kyuubi," said Sasuke, smiling. Naruto hopped down and drew his own sword. "Deal." "Hey, wait," objected Kyuubi. "I never agreed to this." Naruto and Sasuke both ignored Kyuubi again and raised their swords. Both began chanting, stringing together random words. As they spoke, a blue-white light began to emit from Sasuke's sword, while orange light began to emit from Naruto's sword. Next, Naruto's body was suddenly covered in an aura of fire, while lightning cackled around Sasuke. Sakura gasped as the two genin vanished. Trails of fire and electricity were left behind their movements, and the two elements clashed with each other. The two genin swung their blades with pinpoint accuracy and deadly speed as they aimed to hit the other. With each attack more fire and electricity surrounded the two, until it looked like they were covered in a blue-orange light. While Sakura watched in astonishment, the third Hokage, Kakashi, plus 5 anbu watched the scene, stunned. "Hokage same," exclaimed one of the anbu. "Their power matches that of a Chunin, no even a Junin. I have not seen this kind of potential since the fourth Kakashi," stuttered the Hokage. "I hope you plan on explaining this." Kakashi mentally sighed. "I knew this was going to happen," he moaned. As this happened, the 7 ninja noticed a flash of pink hair. Next, Sakura's head poked through the bushes and she blinked at them. When she saw whom it was she nearly yelled, but the anbu covered her mouth. "Shush," they moaned. "What are you doing, sensei?" asked Sakura, suspiciously. Nothing," said Kakashi. Evasio see what all the power was coming from. "Sakura," said the Hokage, "I'm sorry if it seems we were spying. We just wanted to get a good grasp of Naruto and—" 2 more heads poked through the bushes interrupting the Hokage. It was Naruto and Sasuke, who were both sweating like pigs. Sakura's eyes widened and she pinched her nose. "Why didn't you just ask, old man? You don't have to hide or anything. We knew you were here a long time ago." Sarutobi's sweat dropped. "Well, that's okay, Naruto. Good to see you're getting stronger." "Let's go," said Sarutobi, suddenly, as if trying to put himself in good light. "Yes, Hokage-sama," said the anbu, following his emotions. "Stupid brats, you should have stopped. The power you showed them was easily that of a Junin. Now what do you think they'll say?" They all vanished, including Kakashi, leaving the three genin to stare at each other. Sakura. Well, we're done. Do you want to work on anything today? Sakura jumped up with excitement. Yes, Sasuke-kun. Sasuke's sweat dropped. Sure. Naruto, go out and buy us some shuriken then. I exhausted my supply in the land of waves. Then hurry up and get back so we can finish up, training. Naruto nodded understandingly, as Sasuke tossed him some money. Using Shunshin, he quickly moved to the local weapons store. Upon entering, Kyuubi's voice entered his head. Good job, Kit, seems you finally did something good today. I definitely have a whole list of things you need to buy. The first is a summoning book called, The Shinobi Creatures. I want you to have. It'll be beneficial for both you and Sasuke. Huh, interrupted Sasuke. What's beneficial for, Teme, what happened? Shouted Naruto. Sorry, Dobi. Gotta cut this short. Whoa, I think we gave Sakura a little too much training. Naruto laughed, as he felt Sasuke leave his mind, before suddenly being interrupted by Kyuubi. Shut up, brat, and let me continue. This owner, as far as I know, has the only copy of that book, and the only way to get him to give it to you is if you send his soul to me. You know the jutsu for that already, so hurry up. I want to have a little talk with him anyway. Right, said Naruto. He quickly found the owner and did some hand signs. The man froze and suddenly a white orb flew out of his mouth and into Naruto's head. Naruto concentrated on the orb, making sure he did not lose it within himself, waiting for Kyuubi's command to return the soul. A moment later and, alright, Kit, take him back. Naruto nodded and using his mind sent the orb back into its owner's mouth. The man stumbled and turned about. Whoa, he finally rested his eyes on Naruto. So, it's you. I was wondering whom Kyuubi was talking about. Naruto's eyes narrowed, wondering how in the world this man could know Kyuubi. The man stared back, his eyes warning him not to ask the question. HMPH. Well, here's the Book of Summons. Hurry up and take it away from me. Good riddance. The shopkeeper handed Naruto a dirty, old book and then an orange bag. Don't open that here, warned the owner. There are secrets in there that even the Hokage would die to know. I only kept that book under that stupid Kyuubi's blackmail. Naruto eyed the man suspiciously again, but said no more before walking out. As he did, he was tempted to open the book when Kyuubi said, I won't teach you the final jutsu if you open that book, brat. Naruto placed the book in the bag, trying to act casual, and no more was said. 5 hours later, the three genin lay on their backs, exhausted from the training. Sakura, who had improved the most in the training exercise, had been given weight seals, courtesy of Sasuke, and now couldn't move. Naruto and Sasuke, meanwhile, both had their dojutsu on and were panting heavily. Hey, Dobi. I think I fell down, after, you did. Dream on Teme. Both boys laughed, while Sakura sweat dropped. Geez. They're still competing, jaw. Good job, brats. You successfully passed my training. Consider yourselves beyond anbu level now. Ha, scoffed Naruto, we're already at cage level. Kyuubi scoffed, maybe skill-wise, definitely not smart enough. Now Sasuke maybe. Sasuke began to crack up, causing Sakura to look at him. Naruto gritted his teeth and glared daggers at Sasuke. Sakura stared at the two of them. Huh? Did I miss something? Sasuke stood up slowly. Going to get some sleep, he mumbled, incoherently. Wait, Sasuke, I'll go with you, shouted Sakura, thinking he said, going to get something to eat. Sasuke's eyes twitched. Naruto tried to laugh, but he was still out of breath and his attempt to make some noise sounded like a cough. Sakura, sorry but I just remembered the Hokage asked to see me. Maybe Sasuke paused as his mind raced with thoughts about Sakura in his house. Yeah, sorry, got to go, said Sasuke, quickly. Wait, it was too late however, as Sasuke vanished. Sakura's face sunk and her head drooped. Hey, Sakura, I'll go get something to eat with you if you want, suggested Naruto, who was back on his feet again. Sakura jumped, and she shivered at the thought of it. No way, Naruto, why would I want to eat with you? This time it was Naruto's face that sunk and he sighed. Damn, rejected again. Tough luck, brat, maybe next time, said Kyuubi, who was trying not to snicker too loud. Fat chance, complained Naruto. While Sakura headed off in one direction, Naruto went the other. He decided to walk home and recover some of his chakra and to perhaps see Haku and Zabuza train. He left the survival grounds and began walking past the fences that led up to his house. Interrupted Sasuke. I just saw Gaara's team. They're headed in your direction. Better be ready. I don't feel like bailing you out this time. Naruto scoffed. HMPH. I don't need any help this time, Sasuke Teme. Greet, said Sasuke, sarcastically, before leaving Naruto's mind. Naruto shook his head when he suddenly detected movement behind him, and felt that it was Konohamaru, Udon, and Moegi. Great, now I have to deal with them. Naruto began to speed up in an effort to lose them, though the trio followed him determined to keep up. Naruto turned in no certain pattern, sometimes doubling back. He didn't leap away, kind of enjoying their company, despite appearing annoyed. Finally stopping, Naruto turned. The cloth konohamaru was hidden under stopped as well. Naruto twitched as he saw what lay before him, and then clapped a hand to his forehead and closed his eyes. "Rocks aren't square, Konohamaru," he said, softly. "Ah, good one, boss. You saw through my disguise. I'm proud to say you are my one and only rival." Naruto twitched, wishing that he could just leap away, but he decided not to. Konohamaru, meanwhile, flung the cloth away, revealing himself and his squad underneath. Smoke appeared and confetti began to fly around. When it cleared, Naruto saw the 3 academy students on their knees coughing. I think we used too much gunpowder." After much coughing, Moegi stood up. "I'm Moegi, the most beautiful kunoichi in all of Konoha." "I'm Udon," said Udon, "I like math." Konohamaru stood up last, and adjusted his goggles, "And I'm Konohamaru, the best ninja in the academy." And together, they all chorused, "We're the Konohamaru squad." Naruto sighed, great. "Oh, come on, don't be like that," whined Konohamaru. "He's just trying to be cool," whispered Konohamaru to Udon. Moegi smiled at Naruto. "Come on, Naruto, you know what we want, don't you? Besides, what are you doing?" Naruto didn't answer the question. What are you wearing?" Konohamaru blinked and then grinned, while adjusting his goggles. "Hey, boss, you used to wear these too." "Oh," replied Naruto, slowly. Konohamaru continued grinning and then opened his mouth to speak. "Let me guess," Naruto interrupted before he could say anything. "You want to play ninja, don't you?" Konohamaru blinked. "Wow, you're good, boss, we were just about to say that." Naruto chuckled slightly. Did I say that?" Inwardly, Kyuubi laughed at him. "Darn," complained, "and I won't be able to get any rest for this afternoon's practice, and I say no, these 3 will never stop bugging me." "Alright, fine." He was about to leap away when he heard footsteps behind him. It's Sakura? Where did she come from?" "Ninjas playing ninja. That is so twisted," said Sakura, who was still sulking from the rejection she received earlier. Hi Sakura," waved Naruto, trying to lighten the mood. Sakura didn't reply, but only glared daggers. "Naruto, God, you annoy me so much." While she stared, Naruto gulped and tried to maintain a smile. Kyuubi, Teme. Sakura doesn't look too happy. What do I do?" "Tough luck, Kit," came Kyuubi's lazy reply was pretty much the same. "Why are you telling me? You deal with it." Naruto sighed. He hated it when Sakura was mad at him for no reason. Konohamaru observed Sakura, trying to figure out who she was. "Hey Naruto, who's she? Who is this chick? The way she's staring at him, it's like her eyes are like daggers. I wonder, wait." Konohamaru suddenly grinned, and turned to Naruto. "Oh, okay, I see how it is, boss. You're a smooth operator," he said, patting Naruto on the back. Naruto froze, and he paled. "Oh no, don't say it, Konohamaru." "I know she's your," he began, suddenly thrusting up a pinky. "Girlfriend." Naruto tried to slink away as he saw Sakura's face darken. She snorted aloud and then, "Why you, that's it." Konohamaru and Naruto jumped, as Sakura charged. Naruto held up his hands in defense, but it did little good as he was punched in the face and into the fence. "Boss," shouted the Konohamaru gang. In that moment, the smile came off Konohamaru's face, and was replaced by a fear. He turned back to Sakura, as the kunoichi regarded him with death in her eyes. What kind of girlfriend are you?" He didn't finish as he was punched in the head, and he felt his face smash into the floor. Moegi and Udon rushed over to him, asking if he was alright. "Konohamaru, you okay?" Konohamaru sat up, rubbing his head. "Ow, that hurt. You. Naruto placed a hand over Konohamaru's mouth. Konohamaru. I think we should just leave Sakura-chan alone, alright?" "Yeah. Okay. Bye Sakura," answered Naruto, for Konohamaru. As Sakura lazily turned, Naruto released his hand and sighed. However, Konohamaru wasn't finished. "Geez, boss," he said, loudly enough for Sakura to hear. "Why are you so afraid of forehead girl over there? By the way, is she even human?" Sakura stopped, while Naruto paled even further. "Konohamaru, you teme." As Sakura turned, Konohamaru saw the venom in her eyes. Smartly the 2 leaf ninja ran, while Udon and Moegi watched Sakura storm after them. Naruto suddenly remembered about the sand trio, and slowed down on purpose as Konohamaru kept running. Soon the academy student passed Naruto and he suddenly bumped into someone. Naruto grinned, as the older boy in front of him turned. Naruto immediately recognized the puppet, Karasu, wrapped in bandages, and the purple markings over Kankuro's face. Well, he looks the same. He also recognized Temari, who stood nearby, and her fan that was slung on her back. Sakura slowed to a halt as she saw the unfamiliar faces in front of her, totally forgetting about Konohamaru's insults. "You're not going to believe this," interrupted Sasuke. "It's about Gaara, he's, arg." Naruto froze. Sasuke. Sasuke. Teme. What happened? Shush, brat, he's busy, don't interrupt him now. Naruto nodded and tried to focus on the task at hand. He was supposed to protect Konohamaru here. Sasuke Teme. You better be okay, thought Naruto, with slight worry in his eyes. Udon and Moegi soon caught up and they looked at Konohamaru's current condition. OWW, whined Konohamaru, who had fallen on his behind. What the? He looked up, while Kankuro stared down at him. The sand ninja had a scowl on his face. Do you need something? Meanwhile Kakashi finished signing all the papers he had been required to sign and handed them to Iruka. Alright, thanks for the report Kakashi-sensei. Iruka placed the papers away, then turned back. So, how is Naruto doing? Is he getting along okay with the other students? Kakashi's eyes shifted to the right. Images of his team's arguments flashed into his mind. Like Sakura flinging both boys into the river, and Sasuke and Naruto's childish fights. Well, Iruka, who still had a smile on, continued. It's been so busy around here. I haven't been able to see him since he returned from the land of waves. Iruka began to blush. I hope he's doing okay? Kakashi sighed. Well, Naruto and Sasuke Uchiha, who is also on our team, work incredibly well together. They get into some fights here and there, but it helps the team get stronger because they push each other and encourage each other. So, Naruto is getting better little by little, and may one day be as strong as the person he respects most, you. Iruka tired not to smile too hard. Oh, you don't say. Naruto, Konohamaru. Kankuro had grabbed Konohamaru by the collar, and then lifted the boy up. Slowly he applied pressure to Konohamaru's neck, making him twist in discomfort, choking him slightly. Well, does this hurt, little guy? Kankuro, shouted Tamari, who was beginning to feel uneasy. Put him down, or you know you'll pay for it later. Interrupted Sakura. Sorry, for bothering you too. It was all my fault. Geez. Who are they? Sakura stared at the two sand ninja, feeling slightly worried. Put Konohamaru down now, commanded Naruto, coldly. Kankuro grinned at Naruto. So, he thought, these are the Leaf Village's genin. We have a few minutes. Let's mess with these punks before he gets here, said Kankuro evilly to Tamari. Kankuro didn't wait for Temari's reply, and began to squeeze Konohamaru's neck more. While Moegi, Udon, and Sakura watched in fear, Naruto began to get angrier and angrier. Let go of me, cried Konohamaru, kicking out. You jerk. Kankuro snickered. You're a feisty one, but not for long, hee. Sakura continued watching in fear. They're outsiders from somewhere. But where? And what are they doing here? Meanwhile, Konohamaru continued to struggle against Kankuro's grip. Let me go. Don't worry, little guy, it'll all be over soon, after I break you in half. Naruto had enough. He did a one-handed set of hand signs, and then murmured something. Meanwhile Moegi and Udon clutched each other, in tears. What is this guy's problem, thought Sakura. Why are they so cruel? Fine, said Tamari, I'm not involved in any of this. Slice. Kankuro suddenly fell onto his knees in pain. Arg, my arm. Konohamaru fell to the floor for the second time and scrambled to get away. Tamari rushed over to her brother. Kankuro, what happened? Kankuro stood up quickly, looking around for his attacker. I don't know, I suddenly felt a sharp pain in my arm, like someone was cutting it off. Tamari saw a nasty cut on Kankuro's arm. She realized it was done with no blade, but with the wind. She stared at the leaf ninja, starting to feel a little bit of worry. Kankuro was always getting them into situations like this. She then suddenly noticed that Naruto, out of the 5 leaf ninja, was the only one was watching Kankuro evilly. It was you, wasn't it? Asked Tamari. Kankuro turned to see whom Tamari was referring to. N. Since it's annoying to say genin plus academy students, I just referred to all of them as ninja. Yeah, got a problem with it? Asked Naruto. Kankuro glared and then began to unwind the bandages from Karasu. You'll pay for that, you little leaf genin. What? Shouted Tamari. You're going to use Karasu on him? Kankuro didn't reply, instead he kept unwinding bandages. Moegi, Udon, and Konohamaru watched, silently cheering Naruto on, while Sakura gulped in anticipation. This ought to be good, thought Naruto, placing a hand on the hilt of his sword. Oh no, this is bad, thought Sakura, who began to charge chakra into her fist. Before anything could happen, a wall of fire erupted in between Kankuro and Naruto. Naruto, with a frown. What the? Cried Kankuro, who was trying to fight the advancing flames. Tamari looked upwards where she had detected a surge of chakra. Well, look at this hottie. Sasuke, shouted Sakura, happily, going back into dreamland. Sasuke had a small cut on his shoulder, and Naruto noticed a small speck of sand on him. So, Teme, you fought Gaara. That's right, and he seems to have the sudden urge to fight us. I already did my round, he says you're next. Kyuubi, explained to him, while I do clean up here. He, said Kyuubi. Well, when we came back in time, you remember how Raiga and Haku did as well. Well, Gaara did too. Naruto's sweat dropped. Great, so how come he hasn't said hi? Dunno, replied Kyuubi. Typical Gaara, replied Sasuke. Sasuke released his jutsu, and as the flames died away, he leapt down and stared down Kankuro. You're a long way from home, sand ninja, and you're way out of your league. Temari and Kankuro stared at each other. They were both surprised the genin knew of their origins. Kankuro turned back to Sasuke. Is that so, punk? How about we test this right? Back off, Kankuro. Naruto and Sasuke turned to the right, where Gaara stood. Naruto noticed he wore the clothes he wore after he had been accepted as Cage. Hi Gaara, stuttered Kankuro, raising his hands. Temari shook her head. I knew this was trouble. You're an embarrassment to our village. Kankuro's head dropped. Damn it, Gaara. Who's that? Thought Sakura, as she gathered more chakra. He's wearing the same headband, are they going to fight? Apologize, Kankuro. While Sakura's sweat dropped, Kankuro gulped as Gaara regarded him with his angry eyes. He didn't understand what happened to him. One day the sand genin was emotionless, the next day he suddenly changed and became social. It was like a brand new Gaara. Kankuro bowed to Sasuke and Naruto, and, through gritted teeth, murmured, sorry. Sasuke shrugged. Naruto released his hand from the hilt of his sword. Maybe you shouldn't pick fights next time. While Kankuro sulked, Sakura slapped Naruto upside the head and Sasuke sighed. As the three sand genin walked away, Gaara turned to see Naruto. His eyes seemed to say, you and me, we're going to fight. Hokage's house, I have summoned you all here for a very important meeting, said the Hokage to his group of Junin. Seeing your fellow Junin here, I'm sure you all know what this is about. Kakashi's eye twitched. So soon? I thought we would have a little more time. Asuma sighed. So, I assume the other lands have been notified of the upcoming event. I noticed some of their genin in the village, already. How long are we going to have? Asked Kuranai. Exactly 1 week. Kakashi grimaced. This is pretty short notice. Not that it really matters, said Kakashi, as an afterthought. The Hokage ignored the comment and blew out a puff of smoke. In exactly 7 days, the genin will be gathered. Only the very best will be selected to be Chunin.